You're listening to Football Friday Night on demand exclusively on 600 ESPN El Paso. Stay up to date with high school football scores, updates, and news by downloading the free 600 ESPN El Paso mobile app.
That's right, the final week of the regular season right here on Football Friday Night. From West Texas to the land of enchantment, we've got you covered. I'm Bo Bagley alongside Paul McKinnon, producer Angel Munoz. And so we got you covered. We're talking high school football, the final week of the regular season. Steve Escajeda, David Guest, Jeremy Karanko are reporters alongside Brandon Cohn, J.D. Sursley, Jaime Chavez the coach, Bill Kuhn, Adrian Bronis, and Jerry Alvarez. We got you covered all around town. And Paul, we started last night, a big one which set up some games tonight. Franklin defeated El Dorado 42-24. A big game, meaning Franklin goes to the playoffs. America's game, home game against Socorro tonight, makes it relatively meaningless, playing for pride tonight for the America's Trailblazers, though they are out of the playoffs.
Yeah, that's absolutely it. That's what the Franklin win accomplished. 42-21. What a close game that was. At one point in the first quarter, we had 3 touchdowns in 27 seconds. 4 in, I think, a little over 80 seconds. The Estrada brothers, part of that for El Dorado. 14-zip, Franklin jumped out on top. A pump block, a big part of that. Pat Powers, a couple of big catches. 25-yarder on a double pass from Bo Sparks that set up a Smith 1-yard run and a 13-yarder on a slant. That was off the block punt, but then Quincy Estrada, 67 yards right back the other way. Franklin dug on the kickoff return from Jordan Morales, 71-yard kickoff return. Here comes those 27 seconds we're talking about. And then the ball goes back to El Dorado. First play, Ryan Estrada, the freshman, over 1,000 yards this year. What a season. He ran for more yards his first year than or as a freshman than any other high schooler ever in El Paso. 84-yard touchdown run. I think he went for around 160 last night. Got it 21-14. It was 21 up at the half. 28-21, Franklin scored late. Another Powers reception, and then they broke it open late. Bo Sparks, 17-yard hitch at the 9:02 mark of the fourth quarter. Then he added an interception off a deflection, 26-yard return. That with just minutes left in the contest. 42-24, the final. As you said, Franklin gets the big win, and with it, they get to travel. They're going to wind up going to Midland's Grande Communication Stadium. I mean, it's not official, but once Midland Legacy, former Midland Lee, polishes off Odessa tonight in another, hour and a half, then that game is going to be done and done. I assume on a Friday, but they haven't picked a time and a date as of yet.
So Franklin against Midland Legacy for the Bi-District Championship in 6A. Franklin improves to 6-4 ending the regular season. El Dorado falls to 5-5, but really El Dorado looked really improved this year in 6A, competing very well. They finished 3-5 in the district. And what does that mean for the America's Trailblazers? Well, America's comes into this game tonight 4-5 overall, but 4-3 in the district. They'll play a winless Socorro, likely improve to 5-3 in district, but yet they're out. Not good enough. Nice season by Patrick Melton and the America's Trailblazers, but Darren Walker and the Franklin Cougars heading on to the playoffs. We do have an update right now. This game started an hour ago in 4A. Clint trails Monahans in the second quarter, 37-14. We'll have more action from 4A in just a little bit.
And the reason that's important, Clint, currently the only team from El Paso who's going to qualify for the playoffs in that district, but Mountain View, which goes up against Pecos. They are at Pecos. Pecos been hot lately. A narrow loss to Fort Stockton last week. I'm going to say 26-21 the final. But if Mountain View is able to win that game by 8 points or more, they will take that third playoff spot. Pecos will fall to fourth, and Clint, for the first time in 15 years, will miss the playoffs. So Clint, that could have clinched with a win, now they're going to have to hope that Pecos takes care of Mountain View to get them into the playoffs if they can come back in that contest.
Absolutely. Going to be a fun one. We'll keep you updated on 4A. We'll also keep you updated on our Game of the Week. The Football Friday Night 915 Tours Game of the Week is Eastlake at Eastwood. Lots on tap for this game. Let's go out to Steve Escajeda at Trooper Stadium for a preview of our 915 Tours Game of the Week. Steve.
Thanks a lot, guys. Big game tonight, as you said, Eastwood and Eastlake. Both teams are going to be in the playoffs. That's not a problem for either side. But what they're playing for tonight, the winner of this ball game will get to host a playoff game next week while the loser goes on the road. So that should be incentive enough for either one of these teams. And I'll tell you, something's got to give tonight. these two teams are kind of going in opposite directions. Eastwood has won 6 in a row. Eastlake has lost their last 2 games. And Eastwood comes into this ball game averaging 42 points a ball game, scoring almost at will sometimes, while Eastlake is only giving up 18 on the year. So, again, it's going to be an Eastwood offense against that Eastlake defense. And speaking of that Eastwood offense, I mean, first 7 games of the year, this team was carrying the ball 26 times a game. Over the last 2 games, they've rushed it an average of 47 times a contest. They were gaining 171 yards. Last 2 games, 334 yards. And in their first 7 games, they scored a total of 13 rushing touchdowns. In the last 2 games, 10 touchdowns on the ground. I spoke to Coach Lopez earlier today, and he said the main reason they're doing this is the quarterback, Evan Yahadas. He can throw the ball, still has a good arm. However, he said that his speed, his agility, his toughness, they've had many quarterbacks in the past who could run the ball, but never quite like Yahadas. They're taking advantage of it, and it's been working big time the last couple of ball games. So, again, will Eastwood keep that going? They're sure going to try tonight. Again, they just kicked off, and Eastwood just running the first play of the ball game. Here on the east side, again, the winner has a home playoff game next week. The loser has to hit the road. We're just starting here, 11:51 to go in the first quarter. Eastlake and Eastwood are scoreless.
All right, Steve, thank you so much. I love that. Winner, home playoff game. Loser, hitting the road. There you go.
And the same thing in Division 2 in District 2-6A tonight. That's one of the big games we're watching. San Angelo Central going to Wolford Friendship. Central a game back. Remember, there's a 3-way tie at the top of 2-6A. Friendship, Midland Legacy, and Odessa Permian. Central a game back. But if Central beats Friendship at Friendship tonight, then they will claim the 1 seed, exactly the same boat that Eastwood and Eastlake are in tonight. They will claim the 1 seed, which means they will get to host. So the loser of the Eastwood-Eastlake game will travel to the winner of Central Friendship tonight. You got to love Week 11, the final week of the season. It's just so much fun.
Absolutely. So many rivalry games, too. We'll get to those in just a moment. But Central Friendship just outside Lubbock, that's going to be a fun one. We'll keep you updated on our Longhorn Distributing out-of-town scoreboard throughout the night. Other big 6A games in town, well, a lot playing for pride now that Franklin defeated El Dorado last night. Once again, Americus hosts Socorro tonight. Socorro looking for pride in their first victory of the season, coming in at 0-9 overall, while Americus coming in at 4-5. Jerry Alvarez will have the call there from the Student Activities Complex on the east side. Meanwhile, Adrian Broadus is over at Jack Quarles Don Brooks Thunderbird Stadium. Coronado hosting Montwood. Another game just for pride. Montwood 2-7 overall. Montwood, remember, had some big wins, 2-5 in district, but yikes, really fell on hard times, those Montwood Rams, taking on a Coronado team that's 1-6 in district in Mike Pry's first year, the helm of the Coronado T-Birds. Tough seasons for both teams, but again, praying for pride. We'll hear from Adrian Broadus in just a little bit. Let's head out. And once again, Pebble Hills. We should tell you this. Pebble Hills is on a bye. What a week to have your first bye week of the season. It's the final week of the regular season. Pebble Hills ends the season district champion at 9-1 overall, 7-1 in district.
And first district title in that school's history. I believe this is their 7th season as a varsity football team, counting that junior class. A couple of early scores in games. An important one, Del Valle Bel Air, Dave Guest. Eli Molina just caught a 33-yard touchdown pass. Excuse me, that's under J.D. Sursley's. Let's skip that one for the moment. Chapin Davion Singleton, the freshman quarterback, 60-yard touchdown run. Chapin jumps out on top of Andrus, 7-0. This is a battle for second place in District 1-5A Division 2. And this, again, another case of the winner gets to host, the loser has to travel. So Chapin up early on that one. And the other score, Parkland versus Windlass Horizon. Kayla Martinez, an 80-yard kickoff return, Russ Bannister tells us. Parkland jumps out to a 7-0 lead. They're guaranteed at least second place in that 1-5A district and will absolutely host. Again, as we spoke previously, if Bel Air somehow finds a way to knock off Del Valle tonight, Parkland becomes the number 1 seed in that district. Bel Air, number 2. They would both host. And Del Valle, the undefeated soon to be champs, and they will be part district champs even if they lose tonight, would have to travel. So, as I said, you got to love week 11s.
Absolutely, you do. Once again, David Guest, the reporter over at Highlander Stadium, he'll have the call on Bel Air and Delvi. We'll hear from David in just a few minutes. And another big rivalry game, Jeremy Karanko is over at Irvin's Tony Shaw Field, Irvin Memorial Stadium, hosting Chapin and Andrus. A longtime Andrus head coach, Alan Sepkowitz, always said his favorite rivalry was Andrus and Irvin. That went back years and maybe decades. But to the newer group, the Gen Z group, I'd say Andrus and Chapin always had a little something to it. This was a district title game for years. It went away for a couple of years, but now it's back, the last game of the season. Andrus and Chapin, always a fun one.
Yeah, those Northeast teams, and especially back, in those days, you said the Alan Sepkowitz days, where whichever school, and it was usually Andrus, and oftentimes it was Irvin, whichever school got hot, the other school, a lot of times it was Parkland back in the day, just dropped off the map because all their kids were going to the other two hot schools.
Absolutely.
Hey, let me fix my mistake. First of the night, it won't be the last. The actual scoring update comes from J.D. Sursley at Hutchins Stadium. Hanks Isleta, another big game. This is a playoff elimination game. The winner of this contest goes to the playoffs. The loser goes home, and Isleta jumps out to an early lead. Eli Ramos, a 33-yard touchdown reception from the sophomore lefty. Evan Martinez, Isleta jumps out on top of Hanks, 7-0.
And I'd say Isleta had maybe a little tougher schedule than Hanks coming in. Hanks coming in 3-6 overall, while Isleta 2-7. Both teams 1-3 in district, but once again, just as Paul said, Isleta jumping out to an early 7-0 lead in the playoff elimination game. Loser is out, winner is in.
Yeah, this could be a fun one. I have a feeling this one stays close late, and we have a blast with it.
We'll hear from J.D. Sursley in just a little bit. Let's head back over to 5A, El Paso and Canutillo. Canutillo's rolled. I'd say Canutillo and Delvi have probably had the two of the best, quietest seasons so far this season. Canutillo coming in this one 7-2 overall, 4-0 in district. El Paso High into the playoffs, as Paul said in pregame with Steve Kaplowitz. First time in the playoffs since 2013. El Paso High can do some damage, too, when they get their running game going.
Yeah, without a doubt. Sorry, you caught me looking at scores. Another scoring update. Americas jumps out on top of winless Socorro, 7-0. Anthony Miranda, a 26-yard touchdown reception. I just shot a text back to our Joey Alvarez, and I said, I'm surprised it took that long. 57 seconds.
I tell you, Socorro's had a tough time with numbers. Tough time with, support seems to be high, but Americas could be too tough in this one tonight.
And I think you give that new program of course, Coach Cano, Eddie Cano coming over from Pebble Hills. I think you give those guys 3 years. And when you look at Socorro 2 years from now, then you can maybe try to evaluate what kind of job Coach Cano is doing. It is a tough place to coach football, and they're going to need somebody to turn that program around. Coach Cano thinks he's that guy. We'll find out.
Very much so. Hey, let's head down to 4A. Riverside Rangers, 8-1 overall, 3-0 in district, hosting the Bowie Bears at Riverfront Stadium. Coach Jaime Chavez will have the call a little bit later. Riverside looking really good, and he can play. Put up a ton of points, but Riverside and Bowie should be a fun one. Also in 4A, Irvin is at Austin. Bill Kuhn on the call there. Austin into the playoffs. What should be a Panthers victory tonight, but Irvin and Austin, a little bit of rivals, very close in proximity. That should be a fun one out there. Once again, Bill Kuhn on the call there. And we'll get to reporters in just a moment. We're talking about some other games. Also, Jefferson is at Burgess. Both teams are looking for their first district victory of the game of the year, I should say. And Parkland, 3-1 in district, 6-3 overall, hosting winless Horizon. Should be a Matadors victory there at the Bull Ring as they prepare for the playoffs. And what could be very interesting if, let's say, Bel Air defeats Delvi, like you said earlier, Parkland slides in there with a win. Hey, Parkland could get that top seed.
Yeah, absolutely could, which is why you play all the way to the last game of the season. Boy, that's as trite as it gets. This is the way that playoff situation looks. In 1-5A Division I, Delvi sits at 4-0 in the district. Parkland's 3-1. Bel Air also 3-1, and then Hanks and Isleta both 1-3. The winner of that gets in. The district they're looking at is already set up thanks to some Thursday night contests. Amarillo Tascosa, they're the beast. 6-0, 9-1. That's who the winner. What's your reward? Yeehaw, Hank Cisletta. You just won tonight and you got into the playoffs. What do you get for your reward? You get to travel to Amarillo Tascosa, which is a beast. Remember, a 1-point loss, I think, was 13-12 to Odessa Permian. So that tells you what Tascosa is as a 5A team. Lubbock Cooper was in the Final Four last year. They're the 2 seed, 7-2 on the season coming into tonight. They finish up with Amarillo Caprock. That's who. Likely Bel Air. If Del Valle knocks out Bel Air tonight, Bel Air is going to wind up going to Lubbock Cooper. That is no fun either. And for the top 2 teams, we're guessing it's going to be Del Valle and Parkland. Del Valle will get to host Abilene High. I talked to Rudy Contreras a couple of days ago. They'd like to go on a Thursday if they can get away with it. We'll see if the AD can make that happen. And Parkland, which looks to be the 2 seed, again, Del Valle Bel Air will tell us about that. But they will get Amarillo High, which just snuck into the playoffs with a couple of straight wins. That'll be a tough one.
Absolutely. Quick scoreboard before we take a break. Del Valle up on Bel Air early in the first quarter, 7-0. Chapin Huskies score on their first drive over their rival Andress Eagles. So Chapin up on Andress, 7-0 in the first. Isleta scores on their first drive, up 7-0 over Hanks. And Americus up on their first drive, scoring on Socorro. They're up 7-0 in the first. In the second quarter, it's Monahans leading Clint 37-14. In the second quarter, Ozona leads Anthony 13-0.
And another score, I said Hank Cisletta was going to be a fun one. At least I didn't jinx it yet. Jude Blanco, a 33-yard touchdown reception from J.D. Sursley. Didn't put the score, but I assume that means 7-7. We're going to trust they kicked that extra point.
Tied at 7. We'll hear from J.D. in just after this break, and we'll head out to Trooper Stadium. Get an update on our 915 Tours game of the week between Eastlake and Eastwood. You're listening to Football Friday Night, the final week of the regular season, right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. Welcome back to the final week of the regular season here on Football Friday Night at 600 ESPN El Paso. I'm Bo Bagley alongside Paul McKinnon, producer Angel Munoz, and our stats and scoreboard with Chema Aveithia. So excited that she's on board with us. Score updates here for you. Chapin now jumping up to a 14-0 lead in the first. There goes a freshman again per Jeremy Karanko at Irvin Memorial Stadium. Davion Singleton, a 70-yard rushing touchdown for the Chapin Huskies. Boy, even though he's a freshman, I could see new head coach Ryan Warner maybe riding him all night long if he's running like that.
And I said, yeah, you think? 5 touchdowns on the ground last week for the Singleton kid. And I said Ryan Estrada ran for more yards as a freshman than any other freshman in El Paso history. Well, the night is young, and Davion Singleton has a lot of carries before we're finished.
Other scores around: Del Valle up on Bel Air, 7-0. Canutillo leads El Paso High, 6-0. Hanks and Isleta, winner of this game, goes to the playoffs. Loser stays home. That game tied at 7.
Actually, J.D. Sursley tells me that Jose Alas kicks a field goal. Hanks up 10-7. They put up 10 points as quickly as Dorado and Franklin were throwing up touchdowns last night.
Absolutely. Isleta scored first, up 7-0, but here comes Hanks. 10 points the last 2 possessions, now up 10-7 in the first. That game at Hutchins Stadium, we'll hear from J.D. Sursley in just a little bit. Riverside up on Bowie, 7-0, and Americus leads Socorro, 14-0. Let's head out to our 915 Tours game of the week. The Eastlake Falcons at the Eastwood Troopers, and join Steve Escajeda with an update from Trooper Stadium. Steve.
3:37 to go in the first quarter, and Eastwood is up to a 7-0 lead over Eastlake. That was the quarterback, Evan Minjares, scoring from 1 yard out to give the Troopers that early lead. And just like they've done the last couple of ball games, so far in the ball game, Eastwood, 16 plays so far, 14 of them have been running plays. And in fact, they've been led by Jake Chanowski. He's got 6 of those carries for for 29 yards. But again, just like Coach Lopez said, they're going to keep it on the ground, eat up that clock, get big chunks of yards, and try to wear this Eastlake defense down. 3:30 to go in the first. Eastwood out in front of Eastlake, 7-0.
All right, Steve, thank you so much. Big game between the Eastwood Troopers and the Eastlake Falcons. And there you go, the Eastwood Troopers right there scoring first. Are you surprised?
Right. And just remember they scored first against Pebble Hills as well, and then they drove down the field and threw an end zone interception. Never the same again. This Eastlake defense, I think, is probably the best I've seen in the city. Eastwood's been trying to run the ball more, concerted effort, more than 300 yards each of the last couple of weeks on the ground. Not like them. I think this will be their biggest test, at least for their running game.
Should be a fun game. We'll have more throughout the night from Steve Escajeda at Trooper Stadium. And once again, our 915 Tours game of the week is Eastlake at Eastwood. 915 Tours is a division of Classic Elegance Coaches. They provide the best travel packages from El Paso to Dallas for Dallas Cowboy home games. They're getting ready for a fun season. Packages include round-trip travel, hotel stay in Dallas at the Omni, an ultimate fan experience tailgate, a meet and greet with a player, and of course, your ticket to watch the Dallas Cowboys. 915 Tours. Another exciting game over at Highlander Stadium. Bel Air hosting Delvi. Both teams 8-1 on the regular season. Delvi undefeated in district. Bel Air one game behind at 3-1. Let's head out to Highlander Stadium and join David Guest for an update. David, take it away.
Thanks, guys. As aforementioned, a lot on the line in this game. Currently 5 minutes and 38 seconds left in the first quarter, and Del Valle has just scored their second touchdown of the first quarter, their second coming from Jesse Ramos, quarterback, his 37th touchdown just now. He had his 36th earlier in the game on the ground on a 1-yard quarterback sneak, and he just threw a 3-yard touchdown pass in the back of the end zone to wide receiver Matt Lopez. So Del Valle just took a 14-0 lead over Bel Air. 5 minutes and 38 seconds to go, and they're kicking off to Bel Air now.
All right, David, thank you very much. What's not real expected, or not really, I should say, unexpected, is Delvi, the way they've played all year, undefeated in district. Bel Air might not be able to keep up with them in this game.
Yeah, especially without their biggest weapon, the running back, who's good for about 160 yards a game, Zach Martinez. If you haven't heard, a few weeks back, broke his arm. This will be the third game that he's missed. But on the other side, Delvi, you just heard Matt Lopez. I believe that's Anthony Lopez's little brother. He was the terrific QB right in between the Montez brothers.
That's right.
A terrific player, and I'm sure this guy, only a sophomore. Couple of nice sophomore receivers Delvi has. Jonathan Estrada, the other one. They've both been productive this year. So, even once guys like Jesse Ramos, the 2-year starting quarterback, graduates after this season, They got a few places to go. Delvi doesn't reload. Doesn't rebuild. They just reload. Yeah, way to mess that up.
Absolutely. Delvi not messing this one up. In the first quarter, up 14-0 over the Bel Air Highlanders. We'll have much more from David Guest later in the show. Let's head out to the big Northeast rivalry game between Andress and Chapin at Irvin Memorial Stadium. Let's head out to Tony Shaw Field. Join Jeremy Karanko for an update on Chapin and Andress. Jeremy.
29 seconds left to go in the first quarter, and it's Chapin off to a quick and good start, 14-0 over their rival, Andress. Tonight, it's a big game. Essentially, the winner gets the host in their bi-district round next week. Both teams will be playoff bound, but it's a freshman tonight for Chapin again. One touchdown tonight, but he has 138 yards, 6 carries. Andress is at the 5, and Duncan looks like he'll take the ball himself for the touchdown, and the Eagles have just scored a 5-yard rushing touchdown for Elias Duncan, and the Eagles are on the board, 14-6 with 7 seconds left to go in the first quarter. So Andress, who was stalled on their first drive, they go down and score on their second drive. So it'll be 14, pending extra point to 7. I was talking about Singleton for Chapin. He took off on the first play of the game for 60 yards. Brandon Ortega scored a 1-yard score a couple plays later. That was Chapin's first drive, went 8 plays, 75 yards in 4 minutes. The kick is good. And it is now Chapin leading Andress 14-7 with 7 seconds left to go in the first quarter.
All right, Jeremy, thank you so much. And if I have this added up right, I think Davion Singleton 130 yards rushing in the first quarter alone for the Chapin Huskies.
Yeah, doing the heavy math. And the good news for Andress, you just heard it there from Jeremy. Elias Duncan, remember he ran for 120 yards, only about 7 carries last week against Burgess, but on that second touchdown, got rolled up on, came out of the game, and a 28-point lead turned into a narrow 28-25 victory. They absolutely got to have Duncan on the field. He's not as healthy as he can be, but the second-year starting senior, he's got to be out there, and he is, and just punching a big touchdown as Andress stays in this one. Remember, hosting a by-district round playoff game next week is in the offing here. These two teams playing for second place, and more importantly, second seed in the playoffs.
Absolutely. Once again, Chapin leading Andress 14-7 after that late first quarter Andress touchdown. So once again, 14-7, Chapin over Andress. Let's head out to Brandon Cohn at Canutillo's Lowenberg Stadium. Canutillo hosting El Paso High, and the Eagles soaring into the end zone first. Let's get an update from the Iceman, Brandon Cohn. Brandon, take it away.
3:10 remaining opening quarter. The Eagles up 14-0 over El Paso High at the 8:19 mark there of the first quarter. Canutillo striking first as Stanford commit L.J. Martin scores on a 10-yard TD. The play was set up by a 41-yard previously by Martin. 2 plays later, their PAT was blocked, making the score Canutillo 6-0 over El Paso. Then at the 5:20 mark of the first, El Paso's second possession, they absolutely do nothing. They punt it. It hits a Canutillo player. It's recovered by El Paso wide receiver Pedro Chavez at the Canutillo 20. But then a couple plays later, their quarterback Gary Chides throws an INT. It's picked by Canutillo's defensive back Edward Carrillo at their own 10. Then at the 3:48 mark, it only takes the Eagles a couple plays to strike again off of the El Paso blunder as quarterback Knox finds his wideout Anthony Ayala for a 29-yard touchdown reception. The play was actually set up by a spectacular 64-yard run by L.J. Martin. They end up going for 2. They converted, making the score Canutillo 14-0 over El Paso. Worth noting, L.J. Martin, 6 carries, 118 yards, 1 touchdown in this first quarter alone. Also worth mentioning that Canutillo will indeed host the winner of Plainview versus Palo Duro. The game, from what I spoke to a coach, he said next Thursday, November 10th at 6 p.m. here in Canutillo. 1:44 remaining in the first quarter. All Canutillo, 14-0 over El Paso High.
And, Bo, this in from Eastwood Trooper Stadium, and our Steve Escajeda. Special teams, Robert Lagarda blocks an East Lake punt, sets up Max Mancia. Boy, has he had a last nice month, a career best 17 carries a week ago, about 120 yards and a TD. He goes in from 2 yards out. 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That could be in the second quarter. I'm misleading this. But anyway, tag into the first quarter. It's got to be 2:30 left in the first. Eastwood on top of East Lake, 14-0. Eastwood looking for its second district title in 6A in the last 3 years.
And they'll tie Pebble Hills with a win tonight. Wow, what a game. 14-0 Eastwood over East Lake in our 915 Tours game of the week. And Brandon Cohn had 14-0 the Canutillo Eagles over the El Paso High Tigers. We'll have more from the Iceman a little bit later. At last check, J.D. Sursley had texted in that it was 10-7 Hanks. Let's see if that changed. Let's head out to J.D. Sursley at Isletta's Hutchins Stadium for an update on Hanks and Isletta. J.D.
All right, gentlemen, we got a barn burner here. It has been the first quarter flew by, but Isletta just took the lead with a few seconds ago. 11:26 left in the second quarter. It's Isletta 14, Hanks 10. Areth Gomez has been the workhorse. He just scored a 3-yard touchdown to take the lead. But before that, Isletta's first drive, methodically, Evan Martinez, Areth Gomez, run pass, great combo. Then Evan Martinez with a 33-yard dime to Eli Ramos. The very next possession for would be Hanks. They also get a 33-yard pass touchdown from Marcus Porras to Jude Blanco. And then the second possession for Isletta, they threw an interception by Andrew Castillo, the one who intercepted it. They only got a field goal, though, from Jose Alas to make it 10-7. And just a few seconds ago, right before just now the kickoff of the second quarter, Areth Gomez, the workhorse so far for Isletta, made it 14-10. Isletta over Hanks 11:20 left in the second quarter.
And, Bo, good news for the Hanks Knights again. Marcus Porras, remember, missed last week's contest. They had a freshman quarterback. And so in the biggest game of the season, Hanks looking to get back into the playoffs for the first time since 2019. They needed their boss, the 2-year starter, the junior, Marcus Porras, and that's where he is already with a TD pass to Jude Blanco.
And there we go. So 14-10 is Isleta over Hanks. What going to be a fun night tonight at Hutchins Stadium. The winner heads the playoffs. J.D. Sursley will surely have more on this game later in the show. Let's head down to 4A, get an update right here. Last check, it was Riverside up 7-0. Let's go to the coach, Jaime Chavez, for an update from Riverfront Stadium. Riverside hosting Bowie. Coach.
9:25 left in the half. It is now Riverside 21 and Bowie 0. Riverside quarterback Ian Monteon, a pair of touchdown passes, 48-yard touchdown pass to Dylan Murga, and then a 26-yard touchdown pass to Tristan Lopez. The other score for Riverside, Adrian Estrada, a 25-yard touchdown run. Tremendous numbers for Monteon. He's 9 of 9, 130. Well, he just got an incompletion there. Make that 9 of 10. 137 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. Jose Guardado has 6 carries, 43 yards for the Riverside Rangers. And starting quarterback Angel Munoz is expected to play in the second half, according to the Riverside coaches. He's is serving a half-game suspension. So once again, we've got the clock is moving, about 9 minutes left in the half. It's all Riverside. Riverside 21 and Bowie 0.
And he's serving that half-game suspension because he got kicked out in the second half of the previous game. He's your leader, but you got to watch that hot head there, boss. Playoffs are coming, and they can't afford to lose you. Oh, by the way, this from, let me find Conquest. There it is. David Guest lets us know. Eli Molina caught a deflected pass and went 55 yards for the score. Del Valle wants that district championship. They are all over Bel Air heading to the second quarter. 21-0, Del Valle. They lead the Highlanders.
Yeah, big one. It could be tough for Bel Air. Despite being a home game, despite being 8-1 overall, could be an uphill battle for the Bel Air Highlanders against the Del Valle Conquistadors, trailing 21-0 to Del Valle at home. Hey, let's go back to 4A. Currently, it's 7-0 Riverside over Bowie. Last check in 4A, Monahans now up on Clint, 44-14 in the third quarter. And in the second quarter, we have a Mountain View score. Mountain View leads Pecos 18-15. Could be a big win for Mountain View.
Yeah, the reason the magic number is 8 for them. If they win 18-15, you might as well not even have played. If they win by at least 8 points, as you heard, looks like Clint's going down to Monahans. That currently sets them fourth place in the district and a playoff spot. If Mountain View beats Pecos by 8 points or more, they will grab the third spot in those playoffs. Pecos will grab the fourth, and again, for the first time in 15 years, Clint will be out of the playoff race. If Mountain View is not able to beat Pecos by, well, they can beat them, but as long as they don't beat them by 8 or more, Clint holds on to fourth place and gets into those playoffs.
Absolutely. Hey, we got a score update from the Land of Enchantment. First round of the playoffs in 5A. Santa Teresa leads 6-seeded Mayfield 7-0 after the first quarter. Interesting there. Let's head out to Bill Coon and join R.E. McKee Stadium. Austin Panthers hosting the Irvin Rockets. Austin prepping for a playoff berth. Let's go out to Bill for an update. Bill, take it away.
It's 9 minutes, 19 seconds left in the second. Absolutely, positively, no scoring going on in the first quarter. Second quarter, Jaden Wilson drives for 32 yards for the first touchdown for Austin. So it is Austin 7, Irvin 0. Jaden Wilson has 110 yards on 10 carries right now on the night for Austin. One interesting spot on Irvin is one of their linemen, and they don't have very many linemen. Number 66, Sebastian Zarazua, is down, and they're going to be short of linemen on the Irvin side. So with 9 minutes, 9 seconds left in the second quarter, it is Austin 7, Irvin 0.
All right, Bill, thank you very much. Once again, 7-0. Austin leading Irvin over at R.E. McKee Stadium. Looks like it's going to be Irvin prepping for the playoffs here with a victory tonight. Let's head out to Coronado's Quarles Brooks Thunderbird Stadium. Join Adrian Broadus for the 6A matchup between the Coronado T-Birds and the Montwood Rams. Adrian, take it away.
3:30 left here in the first quarter. Montwood leads Coronado 14-7. Montwood quickly got on the board on back-to-back drives to start things off, and it was none other than junior standout wide receiver Diego Oaxaca. He had a 78-yard touchdown and then caught a touchdown pass from 4 yards out. On the third drive of the game, Coronado moved the ball effectively downfield, and it was Cade Little's 48-yard rush inside Montwood territory that set up a 13-yard rushing touchdown by Coronado quarterback Owen Levesque. And now quarterback Isaac Galvan of Montwood, he just threw an interception to Coronado's Jacob Valenzuela, the defensive back who took the interception. Coronado's now driving, trying to tie this one up. So with 2:40 left here in the first quarter, Montwood leads Coronado 14-7.
All right, Adrian, thank you very much. Once again, these two teams playing for pride out at Coronado's T-Bird Stadium. Montwood leading Coronado 14-7. Both teams on the outside looking in at the playoffs. The final regular season weekend. Hey, let's head out. We got an update, I should say, from the 915 Tours game of the week. Eastwood now up on Eastlake 21-0. Steve Escajeda will have an update in just a little bit. Let's head back out to the Socorro Student Activities Complex. Join Jerry Alvarez for an update on Americus hosting Socorro. Jerry.
It's with 1:05 left in the first quarter. It is Americas 14, Socorro 0. To start off the game, the opening kickoff, Socorro tried to surprise Americas with an onside kick. Americas would recover and just take 3 plays to score on Mark Moore connecting with Anthony Miranda for a 26-yard touchdown pass. After defense stops Socorro's offense with a 3-and-out, they take 4 plays to go down the field, and Mark Moore once again connects with Abdil Ricon this time with a 30-yard TD pass. Currently, Socorro has put an offensive drive, and with the help with a few of America's penalties on defense, roughing the passer and a few offside, Socorro is currently on the America's 24-yard line with 2nd and 10, looking to hopefully score and their second touchdown on the season. With 16 seconds and counting, it is America's 14, Socorro 0.
All right, Jerry, thank you very much. 14-0. The Americas Trailblazers once again playing for pride after Franklin's win last night puts the Franklin Cougars into the playoffs. Had Franklin lost to El Dorado last night, Americas would be playing for a playoff berth. Instead, they're playing for pride and playing well, up 14-0 in the first over the Socorro Bulldogs. Let's head back out to our 915 Tours Game of the Week. Join Steve Escajeda for an update on Eastwood and Eastlake. Steve.
We've just come to the end of the first quarter at Eastwood now on top of Eastlake 21-0. Again, Eastwood just doing whatever they want here in the first quarter. Evan Hudders just got back and hit Curtis Murillo with a 39-yard touchdown pass, again to make it 21-0. So far, 94 total yards for Eastwood in that first quarter to only 25 for Eastlake. And we talk about Eastlake's defense being one of the best in the city, but it's Eastwood, actually. They've already have a sack, a blocked punt, and 2 interceptions in that first quarter to totally stifle the Eastlake offense. Quarterback Luke Romali, their sophomore quarterback, having a great season so far, but tonight, 1 out of 6 for 4 yards, and again, those 2 picks. 11:56 to go in the second quarter. Eastwood, 21. Eastlake, nothing.
And Bo, Steve Escajeda is absolutely right. I got a chance to see Eastwood Week 5 against El Dorado, and you can hit them for a big play, but they are aggressive on defense. They run and they hit, and the kid who impressed me the most, number 59, kind of a 3-man front. They'll walk some guys up, but 59 Ray Lagarda, a really disruptive guy, and he had a stretch a couple of weeks back. I think it was a back-to-back 3-sack contest. Of course, one of them was against Socorro, but still, he's a force on defense, and I just like the way those guys run around and hit people.
Hey, we got an update from Irvin Memorial Stadium. It's a tie ball game. Andrus and Chapin all tied at 14.
Wow.
That's going to be a fun one at Tony Shaw Field. We'll get an update from Jeremy Karanko just a little bit after a break. We have updates elsewhere from 5A. Parkland leading Horizon 14-7. That game in the second quarter. Also, Burgess leading Jefferson 7-0 in the first quarter. Both Burgess and Jeff looking for their first victory, district victory of the season. Once again, we'll keep you updated. Head back out to our 915 Tours Game of the Week and get an update from Irvin Memorial Stadium between Andrus and Chapin. The Northeast rivalry going to be a barn burner tonight. You're listening to Football Friday Night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. Welcome back to Football Friday Night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. Let's get to your Oscar Arieta Agency local scoreboard. It's right now in our 915 Tours Game of the Week. The Eastwood Troopers lead the East Lake Falcons 21-0. Wow. Also at Bel Air, Highlander Stadium, Delvi all over Bel Air, 21-0 in the second quarter. Andrus and Chapin tied at 14 in the second at Irvin Memorial Stadium. Canutillo leading El Paso High 14-0. Isleta leading Hanks early on in this game 14-10. Remember, winner of that game goes to the playoffs. Riverside up on Bowie early on 7-0. Austin leads Irvin 14-0, that in the second quarter. Let's see, Montwood and Coronado. It's now 14-10. Montwood Rams over the Coronado T-Birds. And Socorro and Americus at the Sac late tonight. Americus leads 14-0. Elsewhere, Burgess over Jefferson in the first, 7-0. Parkland leading Horizon 14-7. On the road in 4A, Clint trails Monahans 44-14, and Mountain View leads Pecos 18-15.
Excuse me.
We got an update.
Tex, you got to love the Mountain View coaching staff. Keep us hooked up. 7:28 left in the third quarter. 24-15, Mountain View leads. In case you can't do the math, that is a 9-point spread. 7:28 left in the third quarter. You can't say go Mountain View because that's almost like saying boo to you, Clint.
Yeah, well.
But it's still a great story. Rooting for those Mountain Viewers as they go up against Pecos at Pecos.
So how this works, if Clint falls to Monahans, and that looks likely right now, trailing by 30 in the third quarter, and Mountain View wins by more than 8 points, Mountain View is into the playoffs. Wow, what a game there. We'll keep you updated in 4A. Now let's head out to our out-of-town scoreboard, brought to you by Longhorn Distributing. Here's Paul McKinnon.
Bo, thanks so much. We'll start with District 2-6A. Remember, 3 teams tied for first place in that one and have a combined 10-point lead, those 3 teams in their 3 contests. Let's start with Midland Legacy. 28-21, they lead Odessa High. Tied with Odessa Permian. They're part of that group. 10-8, they lead Midland, but the game that's of utmost importance, San Angelo Central at Wolfforth Friendship. They lead that one 21-20. Remember, Friendship, part of that 3-way tie, just 1 loss in the district. And if it finishes in a 3-way tie, Friendship actually wins the tiebreaker, gets the top seed. But if Central beats Friendship tonight, they're a game back. They will take the number 1 seed in the in Division 2, which means they will get to host the loser of Eastwood Eastlake. At the moment, down 21-0. We would say Eastlake would have to travel to Central. Yeah, to Central, and Friendship would wind up coming here to Eastwood, which, by the way, if they get to host a contest, Julio Lopez wants to go Friday night at 7 o'clock. So we'll see how that works out. So far, so good for the Troop, not so much for Eastlake. But Central, the 1-point lead over Friendship, 21-20. 2-6A, always crazy, especially last week of the season. District 2-5A, last night, a Thursday nighter, Tascosa wrapped up the top spot in that district. 35-14 win over Lubbock Coronado, quashed their playoff hopes. Amarillo as well, 35-14 beat Lubbock Monterey. Monterey goes winless on the season. Wow, who saw that coming? And Amarillo grabs the third playoff spot. They came from nowhere with a couple of wins straight to get into those playoffs. The one game going doesn't really mean anything. Lubbock Cooper, they're going to be the 2 seed. 20-7, they lead Amarillo Caprock. Caprock could finish tied at 3-3 with Amarillo, but they already lost to both the teams there, Amarillo and who am I leaving out? Abilene. So they're out regardless. Elsewhere, let's get to District 2 5A, Division 2. Abilene Wiley looking to be district champs up on Abilene Cooper 14-3. That's big because Cooper is currently in the 3 seed. With a win, they could grab the 1. Wichita Falls Rider all over Lubbock 28-0. Paladuro leading Plainview 21-12, and that's a playoff elimination game. The winner gets the 4th and final playoff spot in that district, and they will get Canutillo, which already has the 1 seed wrapped up in District 1-5A D2. 2-4A, Lubbock Estacado all over Lakeview, 34-0. They're going to take the 2 seed in that district. Andrews all over Big Spring, 32-7. That's a battle of 1 and 2 teams, both in the playoffs, but the winner will get the 3 seed. The loser will get the 4 seed. Neither one of those will go up against either Mountain View or Clint, whichever team from El Paso sneaks into the playoffs by the end of this night. And in 2-4A D2, Seminole undefeated in the district, 21-20. They lead Perryton at half. Perryton, a 2-1 team, and West Plains all over Borger, 21-7. A little 2-way tie for the 2nd and 3rd seeds in that one. We'll break that down as the night goes on. But for now, anyway, Bo, that's our first out-of-town scoreboard.
And we'll keep you up through the night. A lot of big games all over West Texas with implications playing the El Paso West Texas teams. This is going to be a lot of fun. That's your out-of-town scoreboard brought to you by Longhorn Distributing, the only hot seat dealer in West Texas and southern New Mexico. Your source for cleaning equipment, service, and supplies. Longhorn Distributing, 5516 East Paisano Drive in El Paso.
And from Jaime Chavez out of Riverside. Ed Jaime, he's getting good at that texting stuff. No Angel Munoz, no problem, apparently. Still for first half. The backup quarterback who's got a lot of play this year, Ian Montillon, 16-yard touchdown pass to Tristan Lopez. That was 6:47 left in the second quarter. Doubles it up with a 57-yarder to Jose Guardado, the athletic big play back with 3:48. Riverside now up to 35-0. As I said, no Munoz, no problem. Riverside going to cruise to their 2nd straight district championship.
Wow, 35-0 Rangers over the Bowie Bears. We're going to take a break, come back, and we'll head back out to Highlander Stadium, find a fun one between Del Valle and Bel Air, plus our 915 Tours Game of the Week. You're listening to Football Friday Night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. Welcome back to the final week of the regular season on Football Friday Night. That's right, Week 11. I'm Bo Bagley alongside Paul McKinnon, producer Angel Munoz. And our 915 Tours Game of the Week, Eastwood gets a sack in the end zone for a safety.
Robert Lagarda.
There we go. Eastwood now up on Eastlake 23-0 in the second quarter. It's time for our 2-minute drill brought to you by the El Paso Association of Builders. Real high school football action is brought to you by Real Texas Builders. It's time for our 2-minute drill. Let's head out to Bel Air's Highlander Stadium and join David Guest for an update on Del Valle at Bel Air. David.
Yeah, guys, an exciting night if you're a Del Valle fan. Former Del Valle quarterback Steven Montez in the house tonight, and he's loving what he sees from current quarterback at Del Valle, Jesse Ramos. He has 4 touchdowns in this game, 2 on the ground, 2 through the air. He's thrown for 160 yards. He's rushed for over 60 yards. He has 2 touchdowns on the ground, both from a yard out. And he has his Conquistadores leading 28-0. There's 4 minutes and 30 seconds left in the game. They currently have the ball now, looking to score one more time before the half.
All right, David, thank you so much. 28-0 Del Valle over Bel Air. An exciting game if you're a Conquistadors fan. Let's head out to Irvin Memorial Stadium. Join Jeremy Karanko on this 2-minute drill. Andrus and Chapin. Jeremy, what you got?
1:03 left to go in the second quarter, and it's Chapin leading Andrews 20-14 in a Northeast rivalry barn burner in the first half, close to 500 yards of total offense already, and the Eagles are at the 10 looking to score again. So 1:03 left to go, second quarter. It's Chapin leading Andrews 20-14.
All right, Jeremy, thank you very much. Andress Eagles knocking on the door right before halftime. Chapin Huskies lead it 20-14, but Andress right there inside the red zone. Let's head out to Canutillo's Lowenberg Stadium. At last check, it was Canutillo 14-0 over El Paso High. Let's join the Iceman, Brandon Cohn, for an update. Brandon.
7:35 opening half, and it's 14-0 Canutillo over El Paso. Worth mentioning that Canutillo has just been dominant on the ground as their star running back, L.J. Martin, 8 carries, 163 yards, 1 touchdown in this opening quarter. And the other score, of course, Eagles touchdown, was a 29-yard reception by their wide receiver, Ayala. That was in the first quarter as well. Canutillo driving now as we speak down to the El Paso 20-yard line. Worth mentioning El Paso, or rather Canutillo, could have done much more, but they keep shooting themselves in the foot with multiple penalties in this first half. As a 41-yard touchdown by L.J. Martin was called back because of a block in the back call. 7:25 remaining here, opening half. Canutillo 14-0 El Paso.
All right, Brandon, thank you very much. Looks like Canutillo Eagles inside the red zone once again, leading El Paso High 14-0. Let's head out to Isletta's Hutchins Stadium. Isletta hosting Hanks. Winner of this goes to the playoffs. Let's get an update from J.D. Sursley from Hutchins Stadium. J.D.
55 seconds left in the second quarter. Isletta 21, Hanks 10. Isletta added to their lead after a fumble recovered by Jose Morales. Later in the quick drive, Evan Martinez hit Devin Hernandez for a 9-yard touchdown to make it 21-10. And then 2 quick turnaround drives. Hanks is driving the ball now, hopefully to get some points before the end of the half. 21, Isletta, Hanks 10, 44 seconds left in the second quarter.
All right, JD, thank you very much. Once again, 21-10 is Isletta leading Hanks in the second quarter. Let's head out to the coach, Jaime Chavez, down at Riverfront Stadium. Riverside exploding in the first half against the Bowie Bears. Coach, what do you got for us?
We just had a 99-yard touchdown run by Jose Guardado, now making it Riverside 41 and Bowie 0 with 9 seconds left in the half. The big story is Ian Montion. He's got 4 touchdown passes. He's 11 of 12 for 201 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Once again, 9 seconds left in the half. With the extra point pending, it's now Riverside 41 and Bowie 0.
All right, Riverside not missing the suspended quarterback Angel Munoz in the first half of this one so far. Riverside up 41-0 just before halftime over the Bowie Bears. Let's head out to Austin's Ari McKee Stadium. Austin hosting Irvin and join Bill Kuhn for an update. Bill.
29 seconds left in the half. It is Austin 14, Irvin 7. When I left you last time, Mark Saenz ran the ball in for a 9-yard touchdown for Austin. And just right before I came on air, a 6-yard pass to Angel Rodriguez for Irvin. So with 29 seconds left in the second, or in the halftime, it is Austin 14, Irvin 7.
All right, Bill, thank you very much. 14-7, Austin leading Irvin just before half. Let's head back out to 6A and Coronado's T-Bird Stadium. Join Adrian Broadus for an update on the Montwood Rams at the Coronado T-Birds. Adrian.
6:40 and counting in the half. Montwood still leads Coronado 21-18. Following the Isaiah Claudio touchdown for Montwood from 22 yards out, Coronado responded with a nice long drive, and it was capped off by a 7-yard rushing touchdown by junior Thomas Murray. The 2-point conversion was good for the T-Birds. Now 6:19 and counting. Montwood leads Coronado 21-18.
All right, Adrian, thank you so much. What an exciting game out there for the Montwood Rams against the Coronado T-Birds. They're a close one. See what happens here in 6A. Another fun one out in 6A over at the SAC. If you're an America's Trailblazer fan, let's join Jerry Alvarez for an update on America's hosting Socorro. Jerry.
With 5:20 left in the second quarter, it is America's 28, Socorro's 0. Mark Moore has connected twice again in the air. One for a 25-yard TD pass to Anthony Miranda, and one to Cesar Drennan on a 13-yard TD pass. Earlier in the quarter, though, after the extra point on one of the touchdowns, there was a fight that did break out. 4 players did get disqualified, 2 from each team. Two starting offensive linemen for Americas did get disqualified, so that might affect them the rest of the game. But with 4:46 left in the game, in the second quarter, Americas 28, Socorro 0.
All right, Jerry, thank you very much. All Americas in this one, as Americas playing for pride, closing out the regular season, looks like with a win over Socorro. Once again, 28-0, Americas over Socorro. Another action, Burgess leads Jefferson at Mustang Stadium 20-0 just before halftime. Also, the Parkland Matadors lead Horizon 21-7, this also just before halftime. In the third quarter, Mountain View leads Pecos 24-15 in 4A. Elsewhere in 4A, Monahans Oliver Clint 44-14, just got an update, 51-14 Monahans over Clint. Elsewhere, Ozona leading Anthony 13-0, and we'll have much more. Once again, we'll head back out to our 915 Tours Game of the Week. We're going to take a break. We're going to have much more. Oh, we got an update from our 915 Tours Game of the Week right now. Let's head back out to Steve Escajeda for an update. Steve.
We've got 1:15 and counting here left in the second quarter. It's now Eastwood 30. Eastlake nothing. Eastwood quarterback Evan Minhades, 5 out of 8 in the ball game for 95 yards and a couple of touchdown passes. Oh, by the way, he's also running for 34 yards and another score. 1:11 now left to go in the first half. Eastwood 30, Eastlake nothing.
Woo-wee, the Eastwood Troopers, boy, jumping out to a huge lead, just like you said against Americas last year. But, boy, a lot on the line, and they're playing like they really want it.
Yeah, they love their Week 11s, and I think there's a lot of venom in this one, too. As I said, they haven't beaten these guys since, I guess, 2018 was the last time. So it's been a long time coming, especially after the way they got bludgeoned a year ago. We mentioned earlier Elijah Uribe, the 6 touchdown runs. I think he ran for 300-plus yards. Even caught a touchdown pass, 7 TDs. Troop was embarrassed last year, and now they're kicking back. I think these guys are ready for the playoffs.
Absolutely. Once again, in our 915 Tours Game of the Week, Eastwood leads Eastlake just before halftime, 30-0. That 2-minute drill brought to you by the El Paso Association of Builders. Real high school football action is brought to you by Real Texas Builders. Ask your home builder if they're members of the El Paso Association of Builders, the home of Real Texas Builders. That's elpasobuilders.com. We're going to take a break, have our halftime reports. You're listening to Football Friday Night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. Welcome back to Football Friday Night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. I'm Bo Bagley alongside Paul McKinnon. Angel Munoz is producing, not quarterbacking for the Riverside Rangers just yet. He will be back in the second half.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be so sure. 42-0 without him, Bo Bagley.
And Chema Avethea on our scoreboard right here on 600 ESPNElPaso.com. Make sure you go to their scoreboard and get all the score updates. Let's do a scoreboard update brought to you by the Oscar Arietta Agency, our local scoreboard in our 915 Tours Game of the Week. The Eastwood Troopers lead the Eastlake Falcons 30-0 in the second quarter. Wow. We're talking about the Eastlake defense, but the Troopers are making them look like meat right now.
And it's that time of the year. Remember, Eastwood went to the round of 16, and it was similar to this. We talked about, where's the running game that they had at the tag end of last season? Well, over about the last 3 weeks, the Eastwood running game has really kicked in. Evan Minhades, the quarterback, a big part of that, had a 34-yard touchdown run to boost the lead to 30-0. Steve Escada just told us. So they're grinding it out again. And remember, this is how they had success last year. Sam Lopez, the graduated senior, last couple of games of the season and the few games into the playoffs, he was as good as he's ever been and probably double. So I think they're following a similar blueprint this year. We'll see how it goes.
Absolutely. Once again, 30-0 Eastwood over Eastlake in our 915 Tours Game of the Week over at Trooper Stadium. Elsewhere in 6A, the Americas Trailblazers playing for pride, leading the Socorro Bulldogs 28-0. All these games either at halftime or just before halftime. So Americus is up 28-0. It looks like they're going to end the district season with a 5-3 record, but out of the playoffs. You know, that's got to irk head coach Patrick Melton a little bit. But once again, Americus, a solid season, but looks like they'll end the district season 5-3.
I was just going to say an update, same old situations from out at Mountain View Pecos. 7:28 left to play in the third quarter, 24-15. I think you saw a different score. This text just in. No, you know what? I'm thinking I'm reading my old text. I don't know how these things jump out. You're probably right. 24-18.
Yeah, back in 4A, 24. Pecos just got a field goal, so late in the third quarter, it's now 24-18.
A 6-point spread, and of course, 8 is the magic number in that one if Mountain View wants to make the playoffs.
Mountain View needs to win by 8 points, and they're currently leading by 6, 24-18 in the third quarter. They have to couple that with a Clint loss. Well, Clint is trailing Monahans right now, 51-14 late in that game. So once again, Monahans leading Clint 51-14. If Mountain View can get some more points on the board, they could be dancing in the playoffs. Otherwise, Clint will be the playoff team from 4A. Elsewhere in 5A, and 6A, I should say, Montwood leading Coronado 21-18. There's still a couple minutes left in the second quarter. We'll get a halftime report from all of our reporters all around town in just a little bit. 5A, Del Valle all over Bel Air, 28-0. Andress and Chapin, a fun one. This one just went to halftime. Andress scored right before the half, leading 21-20 over Chapin. Chapin had a missed PAT after their last touchdown, so Andress leads by a point, 21-20 over the Huskies. Canutillo all over El Paso High, 14-0. Isleta and Hanks, winner goes to the playoffs. All Isleta in the first half, up 21-10. Nearing halftime, we'll get an update from J.D. Sursley. Riverside all over the Bowie Bears in the first half, 41-0. Riverside over Bowie, that game also nearing halftime. And Austin leading Irvin, a closer one than you would think, 14-7, Austin over Irvin. Elsewhere, Matador Stadium, Parkland over Horizon, 21-7, and Burgess all over Jefferson, 20-0. Last check in 2A, it was Ozona leading Anthony 13-0. You have any fun out-of-town scoreboards, scorers out there?
Nothing updated. I'll give that a quick look. I don't know if did you finalize the Monahans game yet?
Not
okay.
finalized
I just
yet.
got a score. Our Steve Escato covered a Clint game, maybe for the first time in his life last week. Now I guess he thinks he's Mr. Clint. He sent in the scores. Tells us that one goes final. Doesn't go well for the Clint Lions. 58-14. Monahans wins that one, and it leaves them in the situation of sitting and watching. Because if Mountain View beats Pecos by 8 points or more, Mountain View grabs the third playoff spot. Pecos holds on to the fourth, and Clint is out of the playoffs. If Mountain View's not able to win that by at least 8 points, then Mountain View is gone. Clint grabs the fourth and final playoff spot in that district. Just give you the scores from out of town. We already gave you Rapid Style, Midland Legacy over Odessa, 28-21. Permian 10-8 leads Montwood third quarter. San Angelo Central at half, 21-20. They leave Friendship. Remember, Friendship, Permian, and Midland Legacy all tied atop District 2-6A with identical 3-1 records in the district. 2-5A, Tascosa destroyed Coronado in a Thursday nighter, 35-14. They go undefeated in the district, 9-1 on the season. Their only loss, a 1-pointer, 13-12 to Odessa Permian. Are they ready for the playoffs? You better believe it. Amarillo High gets into the playoffs with a 35-14 win over winless Monterey. They grabbed the third spot. Lubbock Cooper, last we checked, was up on Amarillo Caprock, 20-7. That's kind of like our Montwood Coronado game. Maybe fun to watch, but meaningless. District 2-5A D2, Abilene Wiley was up on Abilene Cooper, 14-3. They lead the district by a game, looking to be champs. Wichita Falls Rider, a game back, 28-0, all over Lubbock. Amarillo Paladero Plainview, 21-12. The reason that's an important contest, the winner of that one will travel. They will come to El Paso, and they will face the Canutillo Eagles, whether Canutillo wins or not. And, it looks like they're absolutely going to win. But the Plainview Paladero winner does come to Canutillo next. You know what? Brandon actually got that, and when he reported it early, I can't remember what he said. I believe, I'm not even going to guess. blah, blah, blah. Not guessing. But anyway, they're going to come to Candiato, whether that's a Thursday or Friday. I'll know that one by the next time we broach this subject. But Paladura at the moment looks to be the team making that trip. Elsewhere, Estacado all over Lakeview, 34-0. They'll be the 2 seed in District 2 4A, Division 1. Andrews all over Big Spring, 32-7. And again, that's Andrews wins, and they face the 2 seed, which is probably going to be Austin in District 1 4A. And the loser of that one will be the 4 seed, and they will wind up facing Riverside. 4As all go neutral site, so places to be determined, as are the dates. We hope to have a lot, at least most of that stuff by the end of the night. Unfortunately, a lot of it gets decided on Saturday morning. A couple other scores. Seminole looking to go undefeated in the district and 9-1 on the season. They lead Perryton 21-20 at the half. West Plains up a couple of scores on Borger 21-7, and that is your Longhorn Distributing Bo Bagley out-of-town scoreboard.
All right, great job. Thank you, Paul. Longhorn Distributing out-of-town scoreboard. Longhorn Distributing, your only hot seat dealer in West Texas and southern New Mexico. Longhorn Distributing at 5516 East Paisano Drive in El Paso. Let's go back to some of the local scores right here. Per Adrian Broadus via Twitter, Coronado retaking the lead over Montwood now. Coronado now up just before halftime, 24-21. And Del Valle gets another touchdown from Jesse Ramos, the quarterback. Del Valle now up 35-0 on Bel Air. A bit humbling for the Bel Air Highlanders at home. Both teams 8-1, but this one all Del Valle in the first half. 35-0 Conquistadors over the Highlanders. We're going to take a break, have our halftime reports. You're listening to Football Friday Night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. Welcome back to Football Friday Night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. We've got halftimes all over the land of enchantment and West Texas. Let's start out at our 915 Tours Game of the Week and join Steve Escajeda in what has been all Eastwood hosting Eastlake. Steve, what do you got for us?
That's right, guys. Again, it's halftime here at Eastwood. The Troopers all over Eastlake, 30-0. And what we thought would be a pretty tight ball game, but this one got away from Eastlake early. Eastwood scoring, the 21 points, 3 touchdowns in the first quarter, and they never looked back. For Eastlake, their talented quarterback, Luke Lomeli, having a tough time in the first half. 2 out of 8 passing for only 9 yards and a couple of interceptions. For Eastwood Troopers, their quarterback, Evan Mijares, having a much better ball game. 6 out of 11 through the air for 110 yards, 2 touchdown passes. Also has a touchdown run tonight. His favorite receiver, why not? Curtis Murillo, 4 catches, 82 yards, and a couple of scores. In fact, Murillo also has an interception on defense. And again, having a huge game like he does every week. Defensive end Robert Lagarda, 3 sacks tonight, 1 tackle in the end zone for a safety and a blocked punt. Oh, by the way, that's only at halftime. Team-wise, Eastlake, 46 total yards in the first half, 37 on the ground, 9 through the air. Eastwood, only 180 yards total, but they haven't had to go very far with those interceptions, and they haven't had to go very far down the field. So they've got 70 yards on the ground, 110 through the air, 180, and again, it's a total domination here for the Eastwood Troopers. We're at halftime. We're about 20 minutes to go. It's going to be a long one, like you all said, senior night. But Eastwood, all over Eastlake, 30-0.
All right, Steve, thank you very much. Your stat sheet's going to be going nuts for the Eastwood Troopers side. Boy, what a game for the Eastwood Troopers. Once again, 30-0 at halftime over the Eastlake Falcons. Paul is bringing in here, we're talking about the Eastlake defense, but the Trooper offense, we've shown that last year. They went 3 rounds deep in the playoffs. A lot, very capable, but really putting it together tonight.
And you throw in the running game from a team that just seemingly threw the ball every time. Curtis Murillo had 100 catches last year. I think only the second guy in El Paso ever to catch 100 balls in a season. Matt Jones from Eastlake was the only other one. Of course, he finished with 24 catches in a playoff game against Monterey. That's a state record, public school record anyway. But and all of a sudden they're running the ball at you and running over you for 300 yards a contest. Like I said, what do you defend? You're spread out because you want to stop the pass, and now there's nobody in the box, and you hand a ball off, and there's nobody there. And that's kind of where they are now. Oh, by the way, my buddy John Erford, old El Paso Times guy, he's working out in the Canutillo area these days. I believe he's out at the middle school, but shoots me the note. I butchered what Brandon already told me about Canutillo, and it is what I thought it was. But 6 o'clock Thursday night, and of course Canutillo is the top seed, even if they didn't win tonight, which they obviously shall. They're going to take the district title again, and they will host, and it will be at 6 o'clock kick Thursday night at the Smurf Turf at Lowenberg Stadium.
All right, that's Canutillo heading to the playoffs. They're up 14-0. We'll hear from the Iceman, Brandon Cohn, in just a little bit. Hey, let's get an update from 4A. Big game between Mountain View and Pecos since Clint lost today. A Mountain View win by 8 points or more puts Mountain View to the playoffs. They currently lead by 6 points. It's 30-24. Time winding down to the fourth quarter. Mountain View with the ball, so we'll keep you updated there. They need at least a field goal and win by at least 8 points to get to the playoffs. So we'll keep you updated. Exciting times right now in 4A. It's halftime over at Bel Air's Highlander Stadium. Let's go back to 5A. Join David Guest for a halftime report on Del Valle and Bel Air. David.
Yeah, halftime just getting started here at Bel Air Stadium. All Del Valle in the first half, and more specifically, all quarterback Jesse Ramos. He's been spreading the ball out to his receivers, mostly going to Jonathan Estrada, 5 catches for 63 yards. Also to Eli Molina, 2 catches, 90 yards, and a touchdown. 4 catches, 85 yards, and a touchdown for wide receiver Matt Lopez. Ramos also getting it done on the ground, 55 yards and 3 touchdowns. So 5 total touchdown scores for have been accounted for by quarterback Jesse Ramos for Del Valle. So it looks like they've really got a strong hold on this one. They just got to hang on in the second half, and they'll have sole possession of first place in District 5A-1.
All right, David, yes, thank you so much. 35-0, Del Valle over Bel Air. Halftime right now. Once again, senior nights all over the borderland, and so we're going to see longer than usual halftimes right now. So 35-0, Del Valle over Bel Air at the half. Let's out to Jeremy Karenko. Boy, what a touchdown by the Andress Eagles right before halftime. Let's get a report from Jeremy Karenko from Irvin Memorial Stadium as Chapin hosting Andress. Jeremy.
Halftime as Chapin celebrates its senior night here at Irvin, and the Andress Eagles lead the Chapin Huskies 21-20 in a fantastic first half of barn burner here, as both teams have took off running, basically. Malcolm Anderson for the Eagles, the leading Andress Eagles by 1 point thanks to a missed PAT, 125 yards on 10 carries and a touchdown. Elias Duncan with 2 rushing scores. The quarterback taking it from the short yardage from 5 and 1 yards for his 2 scores. Malcolm Anderson touchdown with a 65-yard run that tied the game up. For the Huskies, they started out to a 14-0 lead in the first quarter, and it was thanks to their freshman quarterback, Davion Singleton, 5 touchdowns against El Paso last weekend, over 200 yards on the ground. He's up to 160 tonight with a touchdown on 13 carries. Brandon Ortega with a 1-yard rushing touchdown off the first play of the game, a 60-yard rush from Singleton that set up that game-opening touchdown for the Huskies. Over 500 yards of total offense in this Northeast rivalry in the first half. The winner will host, and the loser will travel in the bi-district round next week. 239 yards for the Huskies, 220 on the ground, and the Eagles with 253 total yards of the balanced 153 and 100. 53 yards rushing and 100 yards passing tonight. It's halftime here at Urban Memorial Stadium. It's the Andress Eagles leading the Chapin Huskies in a rivalry game 21-20.
All right, Jeremy, thank you very much. What a game, a barn burner between two Northeast rivals, and a missed PAT could loom large for the Chapin Huskies as Andress leads it 21-20 at halftime.
And Jeremy Karanko, a talented character, while he's giving us that report, shoots me the text that Abilene Wiley takes care of Abilene Cooper. That's the final. 20-10. We'll hit it again in the next out-of-town scoreboard. But what that means is Wiley wraps up District 2-5A. They take the 1 seed, automatically hands number 2 to Wichita Falls Riders. So we can clearly say now that the loser of this Andress Chapin game is going to have to travel to Wichita Falls. And that is a trip you do not want to take, especially if it's a missed extra point that takes you there.
Absolutely. And we're not talking about the regional final here. We're talking about by-district playoffs, and that's always a tough place to play down in Wichita. Let's head back out to Brandon Cohn, getting a halftime report as Canutillo leads the El Paso High Tigers. Brandon, what do you got for us?
Yeah, we've reached the half here at Canutillo. They're up 28-0 over El Paso. Worth noting a couple of scores I should tell you about at the 6:25 mark of the second. Canutillo quarterback Knox ends up throwing a 15-yard TD to his running back L.J. Martin, who's having a stunning night in this first half. We'll give you his stats right now. That made it 21-0 Canutillo over El Paso. Then at the 3:31 mark of the second quarter, Canutillo ends up blocking an El Paso punt attempt. It's recovered by the Eagles at the El Paso High 43. Then a few plays later at the 1:12 mark of the second, Canutillo ends up converting on the blocked punt as Knox throws his third TD of the first half, this time a 29-yard touchdown to wideout Kyle Ramirez, making the score 28-0. Let's get some stats. Canutillo's quarterback Jeremiah Knox, 9 of 12, 135 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns on the evening. Running back L.J. Martin, what a first half, 10 carries, 177 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 receiving. TD, wideout Anthony Ayala, 2 receptions, 49 yards, a touchdown. And wideout Kyle Ramirez, 2 receptions, 44 yards, a touchdown. It's been tough for El Paso High. Their quarterback, Jerry Chidas, who recently has come back from injury, 1 of 12, 2 yards through the air, and 2 interceptions. Also, their running backs haven't done much more. Luzon Johnson, 6 carries, 18 yards, and not much on through the air as well. We've reached halftime. Again, an extended half here at Canutillo. Looks like it's senior night as the Eagles have a 28-0 lead over the El Paso High Tigers.
All right, Brandon, thank you very much. 28-0, the Canutillo Eagles. Once again, as Paul McKinnon said earlier, 6 p.m. Thursday, they will host the bi-district playoffs at Julius and Irene Lowenberg Stadium. Canutillo up on El Paso High, 28-0. Let's head out to the reservation, a fun one between the Hanks Knights and the Isleta Indians. This winner of this game goes to the playoffs. Loser stays home. Let's head out for a halftime report from J.D. Sursley. J.D., what do you got for us?
All right, 11:28 left in the third quarter. Isleta 21, Hanks 10. Right before half, I was saying Hanks had the ball. They were driving. Well, definitely need some cough syrup because they fumbled yet again right before half, and then everyone just went into half. So I'll do a little stats. Evan Martinez for Isleta is knocking on the door with 100 yards passing with a pair of touchdowns, 133 and 1 9-yard touchdown. Marcus Porras, another one knocking on the 100-yard mark for Hanks. But Ruben Laguna, who's been the workhorse for Hanks, actually went out for a few plays. He got injured, so we'll see if he comes back. So 11:20 left in the third quarter. Isleta 21, Hanks 10.
All right, JD, thank you so much. So this one, second half, already underway down there at the reservation. That's going to be a fun one. Isleta up 21-10. They're knocking on the doorstep of a playoff berth with a win tonight. Thank you, JD. Let's out to Riverfront Stadium. It was all Riverside in the first half against the Bowie Bears for your halftime report, brought to you by Prep One. Let's go to Coach Jaime Chavez. Coach.
And halftime is winding down here at Riverside's Riverfront Stadium. Again, another senior night. And speaking of seniors, Riverside quarterback Ian Montion, 4 touchdown passes with Riverside leading Bowie at the half, 42-0. Montion, 4 touchdown passes, a pair of touchdown passes of 26 and 16 yards to Tristan Lopez, a 48-yard touchdown pass to Dylan Muriga, and a 57-yard touchdown pass to Jose Guardado. And also, Adrian Estrada has a 25-yard touchdown run for Riverside. Jose Guardado, a 99-yard touchdown run just before the half ended. Big numbers for Montion. He's 11 of 12, 201 yards passing, 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. Jose Guardado, he's got 9 carries and 145 yards rushing. And the Riverside defense, they've really been stout tonight. They've sacked Bowie quarterback Anthony Ontiveros. They've sacked him twice, and he's got 1 interception. And they've also held Bowie to 3 first downs in the first half. And they're putting a lot of pressure on running back Joe Rodriguez. He's been most of Bowie's offense tonight, 12 carries, 49 yards rushing. So the third quarter is just about to start here at the Riverside Riverfront Stadium. It's all Riverside. Riverside 42 and Bowie nothing.
And Bo, the thing I'm curious about, Angel Munoz, you obviously don't need him. Riverside's cruising to victory. You got the playoffs next week. Similar circumstances much earlier in the season. Andrus had something with Elias Duncan, who got thrown out in the second half. He missed the first half, and they said, you know what? Since you're going to miss the first half, you might as well just miss the entire game. I would think they want to get Munoz back on the field and get a little sharpening. Remember last time he played, it was kind of in a hybrid role. He was coming back from injury. That kid has not played a lot over the last month. And, I think they want to get his feet wet again and get him back in a groove, even though, it's a huge lead and in some circles might be looked at as rubbing it in.
I can understand that. I see that. We'll hear from Coach Jaime Chavez in just a little bit from that second half and see what the Riverside Rangers do. Great point. Will they put Angel Munoz in at quarterback? We'll see. We'll get the call from Coach Jaime Chavez in just a little bit. Once again, 42-0 Riverside over Bowie. Let's head out to Austin's Ari McKee Stadium. Austin up early by a touchdown. Let's see what the halftime stats are. Let's go to Bill Kuhn at Austin's Ari McKee Stadium. Bill.
Almost halftime's almost over with here. It is Austin 14, Irvin 7. Some stats, really, it's all for Austin. It's all been Jaden Wilson. He has 16 carries for 173 yards in the first half. That's almost 11 yards per carry for Jaden Wilson for Austin. Irvin has only had really one bright spot, a 20-yard interception return by Jonathan Chavira to the 15-yard line, set Irvin up for the only touchdown that they got tonight. So with halftime almost being over with here, it is Austin 14, Irvin 7.
All right, Bill, thank you so much. Austin Panthers holding on to a slim lead at home over the Irvin Rockets as Austin is preparing for the playoffs. Let's head back out to 6A. Coronado hosting Montwood. A lot of points scored. This one's probably still in the second quarter, maybe 100 points scored in this quarter. Let's go out to Adrian Broadus for an update. Adrian.
It's halftime here at Jack Quarles Donbrook Stadium, and the Coronado Thunderbirds have taken a 24-21 lead over the Montwood Rams. Guys, I know that we've been talking about this one being more of a, hey, play for pride type of game, but I'll tell you this. This is a type of game that features a lot of young talent on both sides, and we're seeing it today. First off, on the Coronado side, you got tight end Mateo Grajeda, who's a junior. He's going to be back next year, and he plays on both sides of the ball. Middle linebacker had a nice, tough hit to close out the half and prevent Montwood from scoring. Thomas Murray, the junior, he actually had a 7-yard rushing touchdown that gave Coronado that early 18 points. Now, Coronado took their first lead off a 36-yard touchdown pass from Owen Levesque to Blake Randag. Those are 2 underclassmen right there who connected for that touchdown. And on the other side with Montwood, you're seeing a junior and Isaiah Claudio lead the way with 8 carries, 47 rushing yards, a 22-yard rushing score in this one. And then, of course, it's Diego Oaxaca, the sensational junior for Montwood. He has 2 catches, 82 yards, and both of those being for touchdowns. Isaac Galvan for Montwood, the quarterback, he's 7 of 13, 208 through the air. He does have an interception in this game, but 2 touchdown passes already over 200 yards passing. So a lot of fireworks that we're seeing from both ends. In this one so far, guys, it's halftime still here, and Coronado took a 24-21 lead over Montwood.
All right, Adrian, thank you very much. 24-21, Coronado leads Montwood at halftime. Once again, remember, senior nights all over the borderlands, so halftimes are running a little bit longer than usual, but we'll get out to second half action in just a little bit. Let's head back out to the Socorro Student Activities Complex. Join Jerry Alvarez as Americus is hosting Socorro also on senior night. Jerry, what's the halftime report there?
Yeah, it's about 7 minutes left in the halftime here at the SAC. Nothing surprising. Everyone knows America's 42, Socorro 0. It's been Mark Moore all night. He is 19 for 25 for 284 yards, 5 TDs. His favorite target has been Anthony Miranda, who has 12 catches on the night for 223 yards so far and 2 TDs. He's also making big plays on the defensive side of the ball. He has 1 interception along with Omarion Dumas, who also has an interception. Both those interceptions did set up Americas well inside the red zone to set up for 2 scores. Thing of note, early in the second quarter, this was mentioned before, there was a fight that did happen. 4 players did get disqualified from the game. Socorro did lose their middle linebacker, and Americas did lose 2 offensive linemen, but that does not seem to be a factor at all, as Americas has been in full control this whole game. They've only ran the ball 3 times the entire night. They've thrown the ball all night long, and they do not look like they're holding back and no signs of stopping. It is America's 42, Socorro 0.
All right, Jerry, thank you so much. Jerry Alvarez out there at the SAC on the east side. Americus all over Socorro, 42-0. Halftime reports elsewhere all over the borderland. Burgess leads Jefferson 20-3. That at halftime. Also, Parkland leads Horizon 21-7.
Now 28-7. R.S. Bannister tells us Isaiah Beasley, a 22-yard touchdown run. Beasley still getting the snaps in the backfield, even though for the first time since week 2, Anthony Carrillo, the starting running back, back on the field, getting limited snaps and just in time. Playoffs right around the corner. Parkland all over winless Horizon, 28-7.
28-7. Parkland tuning up for the playoffs. They're 6-3 overall, 3-1 in district, looking to improve to 7-3 overall. Leading a winless Horizon 28-7. Once again, it's a final in 4A. Monahans defeated Clint 58-14, and at last check, Mountain View was leading Pecos late in the fourth quarter 30-24. But once again, Mountain View needs to win by at least 8 points to secure a playoff berth. Also, playoff scores from the Land of Enchantment. Santa Teresa leads Mayfield 10-7. That in the third quarter. Santa Teresa is the 11th seed in 5A. Mayfield the 6th seed, hosting this game at the Field of Dreams. But Santa Teresa, the Desert Warriors, leading the Mayfield Trojans 10-7 in the third quarter. We're going to take a break and get out to second half action. You're listening to Football Friday Night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. Welcome back to Football Friday Night. Let's go down to our Oscar Arieta Agency local scoreboard in our 915 Tours Game of the Week with a 35-minute halftime. We had Eastwood leading Eastlake 30-0. So we'll hear from Steve Escajeda maybe later tomorrow.
You know, that one's actually at Montwood Coronado. You know how those West Siders.
Yes.
You're one of them there, buddy. You know how they love to do things big.
Coronado's okay. 35-minute halftime.
According to Adrian Broadus, anyway, another West Sider. So it's okay for him to say something.
Adrian Broadus maybe a little bit later.
Like tomorrow.
Midnight. Hey, Del Valle leading Bel Air 35-0. Remember, those two teams 8-1 overall coming into that game, but it's been all Del Valle. Andress leading Chapin by 1 point at halftime, 21-20. Andress over Chapin. That's at Irvin Memorial Stadium. Canutillo leading El Paso High 28-0 at half. Isleta over Hanks 21-10 at halftime. And Riverside over Bowie 42-0 at the half. Over at R.E. McKee Stadium, Austin leads Irvin 14-7 at halftime. Also back to 6A. Coronado leads Montwood 24-21, and Americus all over Socorro 42-0. Out at Mustang Stadium, Burgess over Jeff at half 20-3, and Parkland, this one in the third quarter, Parkland up on Horizon 28-7. In 4A, Monahans defeated Clint 58-14, and in Pecos, Mountain View leads the Pecos Lions 30-24. That late in the fourth quarter. We'll try to get an update from you from Mountain View. It's out to our out-of-town scoreboard brought to you by Longhorn Distributing. Paul McKinnon, here you go.
Thanks so much, Bo. Things starting to, the picture's starting to clear up, especially in District 2 6A, as the three teams in the three-way tie for first place starting to exert their will a bit. Midland Legacy has moved out all over Odessa High, 49-28. That's a fourth quarter score. Odessa Permian, remember 10-8 last time we checked this. 31-8 now they lead Midland High. They're going to win that one, as it looks like Legacy will as well. The third part of that triumvirate, Wolford Friendship. They were down 21-20 at halftime. Now it's 30-21. Friendship up on Central. If things hold up, Friendship, Legacy, and Permian will all tie for first place. Point differential, Friendship will take the first seed, but it doesn't matter because you have big school and small school. 6A is the only one that does this. The two playoff teams with the highest attendance, they go to the big school Division I playoffs. The other two teams go to the Division II 6A playoffs. Central with a Friendship, with a win tonight will grab the 1 seed in Division II. Central with a loss will be the 2 seed in Division II. By virtue of Midland Legacy's 33-25 victory over Odessa Permian, 3 weeks ago, I guess, Legacy will be the 1 seed in the big school. Permian will be the 2 seed in the big, which means Franklin, which just got into the playoffs with that big, 42-21 win last night over El Dorado. Franklin will travel to, it's got to be a Grande Communication Stadium for sure, to face Legacy. I'm guessing on a Friday. Hopefully we'll have something more solid by the end of the night. But Franklin will wind up in Midland, which means Permian will be the one that travels. They're going to travel to Pebble Hills. Looks like they're going to be co-champs with Eastwood, but Pebble Hills, the 1 seed, they will host on Friday. Friday is Veterans Day coming, which means the whole day is opened up because no school. And I talked to J.J. Calderon earlier in the day, and he was speaking, especially when they thought Eastlake might be part of that combination, and maybe they could stack those two playoff games. They were talking about possibly a 2 o'clock kickoff for Pebble Hills. Hopefully they'll rethink that and move it back to maybe something more manageable for something like, I don't know, ESPN Radio, like a 6 o'clock kick, that maybe we could pay some attention to that extremely big game. You got to love the 6As when the out-of-town 6As come for playoffs. It is magic. Love to get that one on the radio. Elsewhere, by the way, longest Longhorn Distributing out-of-town scoreboard ever. District 2 5A, Tascosa last night wrapped up the district. 35-14 win over Lubbock Coronado, knocked them out of the playoff chase. Amarillo as well got into the playoffs, grabbed the 3rd seed. 35-14 win over Lubbock Monterey, which goes winless on the season. Doubt that's ever happened before. Maybe when they just had a junior class. And in the one game tonight in that district, Lubbock Cooper all over Caprock, 36-7. Cooper is going to be the 2 seed in that district. They're going to get the loser of the Andress Chapin contest tonight. Cooper will host, and the loser of Andress Chapin will have to travel up to Lubbock. Not you know what, I'm mixing my districts. Yeah, this always happens. That's the 5A district. Bel Air if they fall tonight to Del Valle, which it looks like they will, they'll have to make the trip to Lubbock Cooper. District 2 5A, Abilene Wiley 20-10. They beat Abilene Cooper. They take that district crown and the 1 seed. 7-3 on the season. Wiley is. Elsewhere, Wichita Falls Rider hammers Lubbock 57-0. That's a final. Paladuro Plainview playing for the 4th and final playoff spot in that district. Last we checked, 4th quarter. Paladuro 35, Plainview 26. And again, that's for the right to come to Canutillo on a Thursday night. 6 o'clock, 6:30 start, Bo Bagley. We've heard both. 6 or a 6:30 start at Lowenberg Stadium. Next Thursday, the Canutillo Eagles, the district champs of 1-5A, will host the winner of Paladuro Plainview. At the moment, looks to be Paladuro. Paladuro trying to move to 3-7 on the season. District 2-4A, Estacado all over Lakeview, 61-7. They finished the season 6-4. They're going to hold the 2 seed in that district. Andrews and Big Spring playing for 3rd and 4th. Andrews up 32-20, that a 4th quarter score. And in District 2-4A, Division 2, remember the 5As and the 4As are already split into 2 divisions. 6A, the only one that's not that way. Seminole looking to take, go undefeated, move to 9-1, 35-20 4th quarter. They lead 3-6 Perryton, but Perryton 2-1 in the district, just a game back of the leaders. They could have been co-champs with a win tonight. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. And finally, West Plains, another 2-1 team, which, by the way, if Perryton's going to lose, West Plains obviously going to win. They're going to move up and take that 2 seed. Borger going to finish 2-8 on the season, winless in the district. West Plains 55, Borger 7. And that is a quite extended Longhorn Distributing out-of-town scoreboard.
At Longhorn Distributing, the only hot seat dealer in West Texas and southern New Mexico. Longhorn Distributing, your source for cleaning equipment, service, and supplies. That is your out-of-town scoreboard. We'll extend it just one more. We've got a final from Pecos. Mountain View defeats Pecos 30-24.
Oh!
They miss out on the playoffs by 2 points.
And in Clint, the crowd goes wild.
Clint falls to Monahans, but Clint moves on to the playoffs by virtue of points. Is that right? Points.
2 little points. If you remember, it goes back to Clint Mountain View. Clint up 28-0. Mountain View storms back 28-27. 58 seconds left in the contest, and they said, let's go for the win. And they handed it off to Gilbert Gamboa, and he came up a yard short, and Mountain View falls 28-27. And now, by virtue of that play, the Clint Lions, for the 15th consecutive season, go to the playoffs, and the Mountain View Lobos, gallant, a great win tonight at Pecos. Pecos had been balling. They gave Fort Stockton everything they wanted last week in a 26-21 loss. Mountain View wins the battle, but loses the war. They are out of the playoffs and done for the season. At least they go home with a sweet taste in their mouth. The only El Paso team in that 4A district to beat Pecos this season.
Mountain View improves to 6-4 overall, 2-3 in the district. But once again, they will not head to the playoffs. Clint will. And losing, Clint falls to 4-6, 2-3 in the district. That is your out-of-town scoreboard brought to you by Longhorn Distributing, and our local scoreboard brought to you by the Oscar Arietta Agency. From a locally owned insurance agency, the Oscar Arietta Agency is proud to serve El Paso with 7 locations. From the west side to Fabens, the Oscar Arietta Agency can help you with your home, auto, and life insurance. Oscar Arietta is the official insurance agent of the UTEP Miners. Visit Rise Up 915 to learn more about prizes and giveaways from the Oscar Arietta Agency. All right, we're going to take a break. Halftime is nearly over, except if you're Adrian Broadus at Coronado High School. You've probably got another hour to go, but we're going to have much more second half highlights. You're listening to Football Friday Night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. Welcome back to Football Friday Night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. The final night of the high school football regular season. What a night it's already been, but boy, if you're an Eastwood Trooper fan, you're reveling in the night at Trooper Stadium. But if you're an Eastlake Falcons fan, wow, you're wondering where your defense is. Let's head out to our 915 Tours Game of the Week and join Steve Escajeda for an update on Eastwood hosting Eastlake. Steve.
Reveling ball. I really like that. It's pretty good. 6:32 to go in the third quarter. It is now Eastwood 36, Eastlake nothing. Quarterback Evan Mijares just hitting Curtis Murillo for a 32-yard touchdown pass, their third such connection on the evening. Mijares on the night, 10 out of 15 for 165 yards, 3 touchdown passes. Curtis Murillo, 6 catches on the night, 131 yards, and like we said earlier, 3 big touchdowns for Eastwood. They keep piling it on. 6:27 and counting in the third. Eastwood 36, Eastlake nothing.
36-0. The Troopers over the Eastlake Falcons. Wow, it's been all Troopers all night long at Trooper Stadium. Wow, what a 915 Tours Game of the Week if you're an Eastwood Troopers fan. 36-0, Eastwood over Eastlake. Let's head out to Bel Air's Highlander Stadium. Get an update from Del Valle at Bel Air, and this one also has been all Conquistadors all night long. Let's head out to David Guest for an update. David.
Yeah, guys, 5 minutes and 10 seconds left in the third quarter right now. Del Valle, it's been the same story as it was in the first half, as they've got a fast start here in the second half. They've already scored 2 touchdowns and currently lead 49-0. The first touchdown of the game not coming from the hands or the legs of quarterback Jesse Ramos just now happened about a minute ago. Wide receiver Isaac Arenas got in for Del Valle to make the score 49-0. Before that, though, 6 touchdowns tonight from quarterback Jesse Ramos, who has over 300 yards through the air, 3 touchdown scores, almost 60 yards on the ground, and 3 touchdown runs. Bel Air's offense was just starting to have their most promising drive of the night, but quarterback Noah Moreno was kicked off in the end zone by wide receiver Jonathan Estrada of Del Valle. So that's what puts us at a score of 49-0. Del Valle leading Bel Air, just under 5 minutes left in the third quarter.
All right, David, thank you so much.
And Bo, I just got off the phone with, gave him a ring. He didn't ring me, but with Michael McKeeben, the athletic director of the Clinton Independent School District, and he educates me. Thank goodness. We've been texted with Mountain View, and they're saying we won. We're in the playoffs, and I'm like, well, didn't you have to win by 8 points? Unfortunately, I'm going to have to explain point differential. So, get your headache tablets out because it might be coming. So there was a 3-way tie in District 1-4A for third and fourth place among Clint, which lost tonight and fell to 2-3 in the district. Mountain View won and moved to 2-3 in the district. And, of course, the team they beat was Pecos. Pecos dropped to 2-3 in the district. So you have 3 teams tied for 2 playoff spots. First thing you do is go head-to-head, and they all beat each other. Remember we talked about Clint beat Mountain View 28-7. Pecos beat Clint 33-7. And then tonight, of course, 30-24. Mountain View comes up with the big win. Oh, by the way, a spoiler alert, Lobos fans, you are in the playoffs, according to Michael McKeeben. 4th and final playoff spot. You're going to get to go visit Seminole in the works, possibly a Thursday nighter in Artesia. But as with everything, that is in flux. But to the point differential, every time you beat a team that you are tied with, when you're breaking a tie, you get a plus minus. How many points did I beat them by? How many points did they beat me by? And we already mentioned first game, Clint and Mountain View. Clint wins that game 28-27. So when that happens, Clint gets a +1 because they won by a point. Mountain View gets a -1 because they lost by a point. Later down the road, here comes Pecos, and they have their way with Clint. 33-7, they win that contest. That's a 26-point spread. The way these things are set up, they don't want you, for the sake of a tiebreaker, if you're up 50-0, we better go for 70-0 because you never know if there's a tiebreaker. So they make 14 points the maximum differential. So 33-7 Pecos won that game over Clint, so Pecos gets a plus 14. So they were sitting at plus 14 coming into tonight. Clint, which was a plus 1, as I said, take those headache tablets if you got them. Aspirin, they're called, I believe. So Clint was a plus 1 after the 14-point loss. Now they are negative 13. And Mountain View coming into tonight's game still sitting at negative 1 from that 1 point, 28-27 loss. Well, tonight they win by 6 points, 30-24. That plus 1 turns into a minus 5. So now we have Clint at negative 13. We have Mountain View at plus 5. And Pecos was plus 14. They lost by 6. They are now a plus 8. So to break the tie among 3 teams that all beat each other, Pecos at plus 8. I think everybody knows 8 is more than 5. Pecos wins that tiebreak, and they pick up 3rd place. Now, here's where the rub comes in, and this is what gets Mountain View into the playoffs and Clint out for the first time in 14 years, unfortunately for those Lions. I believe it's been the way in the past, or maybe I'm just flat wrong on this. Once you pull out the team on the point differential, I thought it went to head-to-head, and of course Clint beat Mountain View 28-27. Michael McKeeba, of course, tells me, and he's the final word, you stick with the point differential. Mountain View still a plus 5. Clint is a negative 13. So all Mountain View really needed to do tonight was beat Pecos, and that's exactly what they did. Huge 30-24 win for the Lobos, and they grabbed the 4th and final spot in the playoffs. Oh, what a night for Mountain View, and a tough way to go if you're the Clint Lions.
So we found out Clint does not go to the playoffs. Mountain View with the win tonight, 30-24 for Pecos. Mountain View will now play Seminole in the bi-district round.
And apologies to any Clint Lions fans out there who thought they were still going to the playoffs. Got that one wrong.
And does anybody have any leave for all that mathematics updates? Wow. Okay. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate the clarification on that. Mountain View now goes to the playoffs. Clint, in a loss to Monahans tonight, 58-14, is out of the playoffs. But a big win for the Mountain View Lobos at Pecos tonight. Hey, let's go back to our to Andress and Chapin, the Northeast battle between Northeast rivals. This is going to be a fun one. A 1-point Andress lead at halftime. Let's head out to Jeremy Karanko, get an update on the Huskies and the Eagles. Jeremy.
10:57 left to go in the 4th quarter. Andress had a drive that lasted about 7 minutes, and the score now, it's Andress 35 and Chapin 20. It was the drive we were talking about went to 7 minutes. Andress scored a touchdown as a 21-yard screen pass from Duncan to Anderson, and it's 28-20. Chapin on their first play on their next drive, it's a fumble from Singleton, and Nicholas Fain of Andress picks it up and runs it 18 yards for a touchdown. There were officials reviewing the play or talking to the coaches to confirm it, and they do confirm it. PAT is good, and the Eagles have now scored 14 unanswered in the second half to really stun the Huskies as they controlled the ball the entire 3rd quarter, and now it is the 4th quarter, and the Eagles have a 2-score lead. Again, the winner will host next week Abilene Cooper, and the loser will have to travel to take on Ryder or Wichita Falls. So a 10:56 in the 4th quarter. It's Andress leading Chapin 35-20.
What a turn of events there at Irvin Memorial Stadium. Thank you, Jeremy. 21 unanswered points by the Andress Eagles, 14 coming in the 3rd quarter as they take a 35-20 lead over the Chapin Huskies. Wow, what a game there. Let's head out to the Iceman, Brandon Cohn, the Canutillo Eagles, rolling behind running back L.J. Martin. Let's get an update from the Canutillo Eagles hosting the El Paso Tigers. Brandon.
A little more than 8 minutes to go here in this 3rd quarter. All Canutillo 35-0 over El Paso High. The 9:56 mark of the 3rd. Canutillo's L.J. Martin, who else, unstoppable on his last regular season home game as he scores his 3rd touchdown on the night. It was a 3-yard TD run, making the score 35-0 Canutillo over El Paso. L.J. Martin, a stunning performance this evening. 14 carries, 194 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns, 2 rushing, 1 receiving TD. Of course, fans will get one more shot at least to see Canutillo and L.J. Martin next Thursday night. They will host the winner of the Palo Duro Plainview game. It has been confirmed next Thursday at 6 p.m. here at Lowenberg Stadium. 7:23 left, third quarter. All KUTO 35-0 over El Paso High.
All right, Brandon, thank you so much. 35-0, the Eagles over the Tigers at Lowenberg Stadium. Let's head out to a fun one between Isleta and Hanks. A lot on the line at Hutchins Stadium. Let's head out to J.D. Sursley for an update on Isleta hosting Hanks. J.D.
Yeah, you are correct. A lot on the line. 8:31 left in the fourth quarter. Isleta 28, Hanks 10. I'll get to the touchdown in a second. But this second half, from the first half, all offense. Now it's all defense and crazy pandemonium. Mr. Paulo Casa Silva was actually kicked out of the game for 2 unnecessary penalties. One in the first half, second in the second half, and then, he got kicked out for Hanks. We're getting a little chippy here. Evan Martinez scored a 3-yard touchdown earlier to make it 21-10. Arith Gomez is now over 100 yards with the touchdown, and a lot of all defense, turnovers, fake punts in the second half. From the first half, all offense. So a flip of the coin, and Hanks just turned it over again on their fourth down try, and Isleta has it at 8:05 left in the fourth quarter. Isleta 28, Hanks 10.
All right, JD, thank you so much. Great job out there. 28-10. Isleta pulling away with this one. 21 unanswered points by the Isleta Indians as they lead it 28-10 over the Hanks Knights in the fourth quarter.
And remember, Bo, this is for the fourth and final playoff spot in District 1-5A. Isleta Indians taking a big step towards that. Congratulations to them if it holds up. And for your good labor, you get a trip to Amarillo, Tascosa, the Monsters. Next week, I believe that's they're going to go on a Thursday. Of course, Tascosa, they have designs on the entire region. I'm sure they want to get that first step out of the way as quickly as possible. And Isleta is going to be that road bump, traveling up to 9-1 Amarillo, Tascosa. Said it before, their only loss on the season, 13-12 to Odessa Permian. They still think they're a 6A team, and they certainly play like it.
Absolutely. 28-10 Isleta over Hanks in the fourth quarter. Let's head out to Riverfront Stadium. It's been all Riverside all night long, but let's see, did quarterback Angel Munoz come back for the Riverside Rangers in the second half after being suspended in the first half? Riverside hosting Bowie. Let's go out to the coach, Jaime Chavez, for an update. Coach.
We've got 6:41 left in the fourth quarter. It is now Riverside 56 and Bowie 6. Angel Munoz is playing, but he's lined up as a running back, Riverside starting quarterback. He's getting some action here in the second half. He's got a pair of he just caught a 32-yard. He had a 33-yard touchdown run and just caught a 32-yard touchdown pass. Angel Munoz making the score, Riverside 56-6, and Bowie finally got on the scoreboard as Antonio Ontiveros had a 31-yard touchdown run, and the point after failed. But the big story tonight for Riverside, quarterback Ian Montion, 5 touchdown passes, 2 of those to Jose Guardado of 73 and 57 yards. And Montion, he's still in there starting at quarterback. He's a 12 of 13, 274 yards passing, and the 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. Jose Guardado, 9 carries, 145 yards rushing, and a 99-yard touchdown run in the first half. So we've got 6:30 left in the fourth quarter. It's all Riverside. Riverside 56 and Bowie 6.
And Bo, imagine this now if you're the Riverside Rangers. Yeah, I don't think they roll with Ian Montion into the playoffs, but at the very least, if you get behind, in the big rounds and you need a throwing quarterback and you plug Montion in there, 5 touchdowns tonight, that'll be tough to replicate against better competition. But Montion under quarterback, and now you got Angel Munoz on the field, the playmaker. You got Jose Guardado, who you just heard you set a city record with a 99-yard touchdown run, longest run in El Paso City history. Obviously, you can't run any farther. And then you have Adrian Estrada, who scored the first touchdown of this contest. He's been getting more and more reps. A defensive dynamo, defensive back. They've been putting him on offense, and he is explosive. So anytime Montion is under center as the QB, You throw another threat out there in Munoz, you got 3 guys that can score from anywhere on the field. And as I said, if you're behind, maybe down a couple of scores with a quarter to play, maybe not a bad option.
It's a lot of weapons on there for the Riverside Rangers. And we'll see if that's an option come the playoff time. But they're rolling tonight, looking to improve to 9-1 overall in the season. 56-6, Riverside leading Bowie in the fourth quarter. Let's head out to Austin's Ari McKee Stadium. The Austin Panthers hosting the Irvin Rockets. A close one for the Panthers, lead at halftime, 14-7. Let's get an update from Bill Kuhn. Bill, take it away.
8 minutes left in the game, and it's no longer close. It is Austin 28, Irvin 7. Jaden Wilson just went for 22 yards for a touchdown. That puts him at 20 carries at 214 yards on the night right now for Jaden Wilson. So with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, it is Austin 28, Irvin 7.
All right, Bill, thank you so much. Looking like the Austin Panthers pulling away behind Jaden Wilson here in the second half, prepping for the playoffs. And when you have a weapon like Jaden Wilson, he can loom large against the Irvin Rockets or maybe even in the playoffs. We'll see.
Yeah, Austin's going to come out of 1-4A as the 2 seed. And remember, unfortunately, all the 4As normally go neutral, which means they'll be waiting on the the winner of tonight's Andrews Big Spring contest. And, of course, last we checked, Andrews was well on top in that one, and that one's probably done already. So I think we can assume Austin and Andrews. You're never supposed to assume, but let's do it anyway. Austin and Andrews are going to wind up hooking up at a neutral site to be determined.
It's going to be a tough game for the Austin Panthers, but looking good tonight, 28-7 in the fourth quarter over the Irvin Rockets. Let's head back out to 6A, looking like Coronado is padding their lead against the Montwood Rams. Let's head out to T-Bird Stadium and join Adrian Broadus for an update. Adrian.
2:21 left here in the third quarter. Coronado builds on their lead, and they now lead Montwood 30-21. It was a key fourth down stop by the Thunderbird defense, and then Coronado marched downfield for another touchdown to build on their lead. Credit quarterback Owen Levesque rushing for a 23-yard touchdown, his second rushing touchdown of the night. He also has a touchdown through the air, so 3 total touchdowns for the juniors. Speaking of juniors, on the other side with Montwood, wide receiver Diego Oaxaca leads the way right now. The junior, 4 catches, 110 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns from his quarterback, Isaac Galvan. We'll send it back to you guys. 1:41 left here in the third quarter. Coronado up 30-21 over Montwood.
All right, Adrian, thank you so much. 30-21. T-Birds leading the Rams here to end the regular season for both schools. Let's head back out to the SAC. This has been all Americus all night long. See if they have the running clock out there at the SAC, as Americus was all over Socorro, 42-0 at halftime. Let's get an update from Jerry Alvarez. Jerry.
Yes, with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter, it is Americus 49, Socorro 0. Both teams are just running the ball now in the second half. We had a beautiful 64-yard TD run by Brian Promise of Americus late in the third quarter. And to start the fourth quarter, we did have exchanging fumble recoveries. Socorro would fumble, America's Juan Noyles would recover that on the ensuing drive 3 plays in. Americas would fumble, and Socorro's Noah Rodriguez would recover the fumble. Currently, Socorro has the ball. They are driving. They are on their own 30-yard line. They just got a first down. With 8:33 left in the game, it is Americas 49, Socorro 0.
All right, Jerry, thank you so much. Looks like Americus kind of put on the brakes a little bit. 49-0 Americus over Socorro. Once again, Americus looking to improve to 5-3 in the district, but they're on the outs looking in at the playoffs, so they will not make the playoffs this year after Franklin's 42-24 victory over El Dorado last night. Elsewhere in 5A in the fourth quarter, Burgess leads Jefferson 35-3. Once again, a final from Monahans. Monahans defeats Clint 58-14, and Mountain View defeated Pecos. Goes on the road and defeats Pecos 30-24. We've learned Mountain View will go to the playoffs via tiebreaker points. They will play Seminole in the 4A by district round. Right, we're going to take a break, have much more, some final scores from all over the borderland. You're listening to Football Friday Night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. Welcome back to Football Friday Night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. Let's do a quick scoreboard rundown brought to you by the Oscar Arieta Agency in our 915 Tours Game of the Week. Eastwood all over Eastlake at Trooper Stadium, 36-0. Del Valle leads Bel Air 49-0. Andrus over Chapin, but I hear Chapin is knocking on the doorstep of a touchdown. 35-20 at last check. Andrus leads Chapin. Canutillo all over El Paso High, 35-0. Isleta leading Hanks 28-10. We'll get an update on that big game down at the reservation. Riverside all over Bowie, 56-6. Austin leading Irvin 28-7. These games in the fourth quarter. Coronado topping Montwood in the fourth, 30-21. That game once again still going on. And Americus all over Socorro in the fourth quarter, 49-0. Back to 5A, Burgess now leads Jefferson 35-3 in the fourth, and Parkland all over Horizon 48-10. That game in the fourth quarter. Finals from 4A. Monahans defeats Clint 58-14. At the same time, Mountain View defeats Pecos 30-24. Mountain View is headed to the playoffs. Ozona defeated Anthony to end the Anthony Wildcat season 32-9. And up in the Land of Enchantment at the Field of Dreams, Mayfield leads Santa Teresa 14-10. All right, let's go out to Jeremy Caranco, an exciting game between the Eagles and the Huskies at Irvin Memorial Stadium. Jeremy, what do you have for us?
4:45 left to go in the fourth quarter, and it's Andrus leading Chapin 35-20, but the Huskies have a first and goal at the 8-yard line, a 3rd and 11, a 12-yard pass from Singleton to Rivera sets up this first down and goal. And we have a play here. Singleton with the snap. He's going to carry it himself left side. He's at the 5. He's down there. It'll be second down and goal at the 5-yard line on this drive for the Huskies. A huge 12-yard completion for a first down and goal. Singleton was then sacked on the ensuing play, but unsportsmanlike conduct is called on Andrus on the left side. 2 linemen going at it, and the Eagles are flagged for it. Singleton was sacked behind the 15-yard line, so that was a huge penalty. It would have been a 3rd down and goal. And now Singleton with the 2nd down and goal at the 5. He has the snap, receivers right, 4 to his right. He's going to the back corner of the end zone. It is caught on the back corner of the end zone. There's no signal, and it is caught. And yes, it is a touchdown for Chapin to get them within a score. Brett Hallman with the touchdown reception from 5 yards out. And so 4:02 left to go in the fourth quarter. Andrus leading 35-26, pending the extra point. Now the big thing here for the Huskies, they are looking like they will decide to go for 2 on this possession, and they will do so. So we have a 2-point conversion attempt for Chapin as they trailed 15 before the touchdown. So a 5-yard touchdown pass to Hallman, and now a 2-point conversion attempt. Singleton has it himself in the backfield. He has this direct snap. He's carrying himself 5, and he's going to get in, and he's got it. 2-point conversion is good for Davion Singleton. So an 8-point possession for the Huskies in a crucial moment. 4:02 left to go in the fourth quarter. It's Andrus 35 and Chapin 28.
All right, we got a ball game at Tony Shaw Field at Irvin Memorial Stadium. Jeremy, thank you so much. We'll head back to you in just a little bit. Cutting the Andrus lead to a touchdown. 35-28 with a little over 4 minutes to go. That is going to be a fun one. Lots on the line there. Once again, remember, winner hosts a playoff game. Loser goes to the road. What is it, Wichita Falls Rider? So you want to win this game. You don't want to lose. Oh, Lordy.
Right, absolutely. Either you can stay home and watch Abilene Cooper come to you, or as you said so correctly, get on the road and go to Wichita Falls, Ryder. Not the place you want to be. What are they, a round of 8 every single year, and every other year they're in the Final Four, so...
A huge touchdown and 2-point conversion for the Chapin Huskies.
By the way, El Paso High, fourth and final playoff spot. Congratulations, Tigers. You get to go to 7-3 undefeated in that district, Abilene Wiley. So, yeah, I don't think they have too much compassion for whoever loses the Andrus Chapin game tonight.
Absolutely.
The one thing I will say between Andrus and Chapin, if they win and they get to host, they look to be a Friday night contest. Andrew's talking about a possible Thursday gig. So, we never root for teams around here, but I do root for Friday nights so we can put on the best show possible. And, I wouldn't mind a nice 5A game kicking off about 7 o'clock next Friday.
I think that would be a lot of fun, but we'll see. The Chapin Huskies can get it done. 35-28, a little over 4 minutes to go at Irvin Memorial Stadium. Andrus leads Chapin by a touchdown. Let's head out to Isleta and Hanks. This game with lots on the line. Winner heads to the playoffs. Let's get an update from J.D. Sursley on Isleta hosting Hanks. J.D.
All right. The fat lady is singing for Hanks, unfortunately. Isleta 28, Hanks 10, the final. R.S. Gomez with 130 yards and a touchdown. Marcus Forrest did a great job, over 130 yards himself passing for Hanks. The team just never got over the hunch, getting down in their field position, either stopped on fourth down, turnover, and then just like I mentioned earlier, Ruben Laguna got injured during the game, never came back. He did come back for a few plays, but he was just never the same. And then Paulo Casa Silva, who was ejected after his second personal foul of the game, which was terrible for Hanks, just never got over the bad moments in split seconds, technically. Isleta never really dominated, but they get the victory, they move on, and they have a Friday night matchup in Amarillo next week. Isleta 28, Hanks 10.
Yeah, matchup with Amarillo Tascosa. Ooh. What is that up there? Is that Dick Bivens Stadium? I believe it is.
I believe so. So once again, thank you, JD. Once again, 28-10 is led up with a big victory over the Hanks Knights to secure a playoff berth. Isleta will advance to play at Amarillo Tascosa in the bi-district round. JD, thank you so much. Great job out there. We'll see you at our post-game hotspot at the Union Draft House on Sunland Park. Union Draft House. That's where we convene to talk high school football. It's a locally owned draft house with 100 beers on tap. A great place to catch the game, get some food, and talk some sports. Union Draft House at Sunland Park. Hey, let's go to the coach, Jaime Chavez, who has a final from Riverfront Stadium. Coach, take it away.
The final at Riverside's Riverfront, Riverside 63 and Bowie 6. Riverside quarterback Ian Montion, 6 touchdown passes, 2 of those to Jose Guardado for 73 and 57 yards, 2 more to Tristan Lopez, 26 and 16 yards, and a 48-yard touchdown pass to Dylan Murguia, another touchdown pass, a 33-yarder in the fourth quarter to Angel Munoz, and 3 rushing touchdowns for Riverside. The offense is really busy tonight. A 99-yard touchdown run for Jose Guardado, a 25-yard touchdown run from Adrian Estrada, Angel Munoz, a 32-yard touchdown run for the Riverside Rangers, and Montion, 12 of 13, 274 yards passing, 6 touchdown passes, no interceptions. Jose Guardado, 9 carries, 145 yards rushing, and 3 receptions, 130 yards receiving for Bowie. Antonio Ontiveros, the only score for the Bears tonight, a 31-yard touchdown run, and Jose Rodriguez for Bowie, 17 carries, 90 yards rushing. Riverside is the District 1 4A champion, and according to the coaches, they will likely take on Big Spring in bi-district action next week. Riverside 9-1 in regular season, 4-0 in district. Bowie 4-6 overall, 2-2 in district. And according to the coaches, they'll be traveling to Midland next Friday to face Lubbock Estacado, a 7 p.m. kickoff. The final score, once again, from Riverside's Riverfront Stadium, Riverside 63 and Bowie 6.
All right, Coach Jaime Chavez, thank you so much. 63-6, Riverside all over Bowie tonight. Riverside advancing to the bi-district playoffs. Coach, we'll see you. Great job. We'll see you at our post-game hotspot, Union Draft House at Sunland Park, for some pizza, some wings, a little bit of everything, and talk some high school football with playoffs on the horizon. Coach, great job. 63-6, Riverside is your winner, advancing to play Big Spring in the 4A bi-district playoffs. We're going to take a break, have finals from all around the area, have your playoff matchups. You're listening to Football Friday Night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. Welcome back to Football Friday Night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. We haven't heard from Steve Escajeda at our 915 Tours Game of the Week in quite some time. Let's head back out to Eastwood and see what the update is as they're hosting Eastlake tonight at Trooper Stadium. Steve.
We've got 4:23 left to go in the ball game. It's now Eastwood 42 and Eastlake nothing. Eastwood scoring on a 43-yard touchdown pass from Evan Mijares to Gilbert Hernandez. That's Mijares' fourth touchdown pass of the ball game. And for Eastwood, there's been three really big stars tonight. The quarterback, Evan Mijares, the receiver, Curtis Murillo, and the whole Eastwood defense that has held Eastlake to 0 points and a total of 91 total yards in the ball game. As the other two stars, Mijares, the quarterback, 12 out of 21, 213 yards passing and 4 touchdowns. Curtis Murillo, 6 catches, 131 yards, and 3 scores for him. And again, Eastlake has just got nothing to the table all night long. Eastwood's defense has been smothering, and their offense has done just enough, again, for a big lead. And what's going to be a big victory tonight for the Eastwood Troopers. 3:24 and counting to go in the ball game. Eastwood 42, Eastlake nothing.
Ooh, what a 915 Tours Game of the Week. A barn burner out there. Well, not really. The Eastwood Troopers, boy, just putting Eastlake to the wood tonight. 42-0 in the fourth.
And for their good work tonight, they're going to get San Angelo Central. Wolfforth Friendship came back, won that game. Remember, trailed 21-20 at half, 30-21. The final. Friendship wins, remains in that three-way tie for first place. Tri-champs among Permian, Midland Legacy, and Wolfforth Friendship. Friendship will get to stay in host. That means the loser of that contest, it's going to wind up being Eastlake. Eastlake's going to make the trip to just outside of Lubbock to face Friendship, and Eastwood is going to stay home. And Julio Lopez has already told us, hey, I'm a Friday guy, and 7 o'clock is my time. He's going to have to negotiate it, but he wants to kick off 7 o'clock from Trooper Stadium when San Angelo Central comes a-calling a week from now.
Boy, Trooper Stadium's going to be rocking. I'm sure they're rocking tonight. They're going to be rocking for that one. They host Central Bobcats, 7 p.m. Friday night in the 6A bi-district round. Once again, Eastwood, not final just yet. Eastwood up 42-0 in the fourth quarter. This one all Del Valle at Bel Air's Highlander Stadium. Let's head out to David Guest, get an update on Del Valle hosting Bel Air. David.
Yeah, guys, this one just went finals as both teams are taking the field to shake hands. Final score, Del Valle 66, Bel Air 7. Bel Air just escaped a shutout here at the end of the game. The final score coming on a 50-yard touchdown run from running back Mark McKeeby. But other than that, all Del Valle tonight in the first half, 5 touchdowns accounted for quarterback Jesse Ramos, who finishes the night with 6 touchdowns tonight. He had over 350 yards through the air, 3 touchdown scores, 55 on the ground for another 3 touchdown scores. In the second half, this one was closed out by sophomore running back and defensive back Shelton Fuller, who finishes the night on the ground over 125 yards and a touchdown score. He also returned an interception towards the end of the fourth quarter. So Del Valle wins 66-7, and what that means for Del Valle now, they are the outright winners of the district, and their coaching staff is telling me they will host Abilene this Thursday at 7 p.m. at Del Valle. Bel Air drops down to third place, and they'll travel to Lubbock Cooper. So there you have it. Del Valle finishes the season 10-1, while Bel Air falls to 8-2, 3-2 in district. Del Valle finishes, as I mentioned, 10-1 and undefeated in district. So once again, Del Valle hosting Abilene this Thursday at 7 p.m. at Del Valle. Bel Air will travel to Lubbock Cooper.
Yeah, Bowen, we knew this one pretty much a couple of days ago. You and I have been swapping texts over the last several days. Talked to Rudy Contreras and wants to be a Thursday guy. And Veterans Day had a lot to do with it. Didn't want to play on the holiday, which, of course, Friday is a day off of school for everyone as well. So which opens up the daytime for teams. I think I mentioned earlier Pebble Hills was even actually thinking about possibly having a 2 o'clock start when Permian comes in next Friday. So we'll see how that goes. I had that conversation with J.J. Calderon as well, though. But Del Valle absolutely won it Thursday, and Abilene is absolutely the correct team. Abilene finished 3-3. Their season was over a week ago. They had the night off. But Amarillo, by virtue of their win last night, and 2 weeks ago, last week's 17-10 win over Abilene. That's what gives Amarillo third place and Abilene fourth. They both finished at 3-3 in the district. Amarillo won the head-to-head matchup. They get the 3 seed. Abilene falls to the 4, and that's why they'll be the team that's traveling to Del Valle, to Conquest Stadium, next Thursday for that matchup. Parkland, as we know, 48-10 final. They took care of Horizon. They hold on to the 2 seed in District 1-5A, and that means we just talked about Amarillo High. They're the 3 seed. That means Amarillo's going to be coming to Parkland. Talked to Lee McWhorter. They're a Friday team, so I don't think I don't believe Russ Bannister. I haven't seen the text yet. A little busy. Haven't seen the text from him making it official. But Parkland wants to host Friday as well, and I'm sure that'll happen. The only thing that's normally up in the air on these is we normally kick off around 7 when these teams are coming from Central Texas. A lot of times they'll do them a solid or negotiate a solid and either have a 6 o'clock kickoff or 6:30 kick. We don't have anything officially at the moment, but I think we can pencil in Parkland and Amarillo High. Yeah, thank you for Friday night of next week.
You got it. Parkland a winner 48-10. That's a final over Horizon tonight. So Parkland hosting Amarillo tonight. And Divide defeating Bel Air 66-7. David Guest out there at Highlands Air Stadium. Very good job. Thank you very much. We'll see you at our postgame hotspot, Union Draft House on Sunland Park. Come and talk some high school football. We'll talk playoffs next week. Great job, David. Hey, we got a final from Irvin Memorial Stadium, and it looks like Andress will host the playoffs. Let's head out to Jeremy Karanko for a final between Andress and Chapin. Jeremy.
It's a final here from Irvin Memorial Stadium, and it's Andress defeating Chapin for the 4th straight year tonight in a fantastic game, 35-28. In a memorable game that will be remembered for quite some time, as the rushing attack for both sides really controlled this game. And for the Chapin Huskies, that means they will have to travel to take on Wichita Falls Rider on Friday. And for Andress, they will host Abilene Cooper. And there has not been a deciding day. Either will be Thursday or Friday night at either 6 or 7. Chris Taylor did tell our intern Zay on the sideline that he is still discussing that, just because there were travel implications involved in this matchup. So for Andress, the victorious Eagles led tonight by Malcolm Anderson, 185 yards and a touchdown. He also caught a 21-yard screen pass touchdown from Elias Duncan. And Elias Duncan also with 2 rushing touchdowns on the night, 388 total yards for the Eagles, really controlling and taking the game in the early fourth quarter where they scored a touchdown off a 7-minute drive off Elias Duncan's screen pass to Anderson, and Nicholas Fain recovered an 18-yard fumble and ran it back for a touchdown. That was the dagger. It ended up being the dagger at that point. Fight for Chapin. They were able to come back and make it 35-28 with 4 minutes left on the 2-point conversion. But Anderson had a huge 21-yard rush by Malcolm Anderson on a 3rd and 10 at the 40 that sealed the game. For the Chapin Huskies, led tonight by Davion Singleton, his 2nd straight game with over 200 yards on the ground. Tonight, he had a rushing touchdown early on, a 70-yard rushing touchdown and a 60-yard rush on the first play of the game. Brett Hallman with 2 receiving touchdowns from 7 and 5 yards out. So it's a final here at Irvin Memorial Stadium in a fantastic Northeast rivalry game. It's Andress beating Chapin 35-28.
All right, Jeremy, thank you so much. Great job out there. We'll see you at our postgame hotspot, Union Draft House on Sunland Park.
And we always talk about big players coming up big in big games. Malcolm Anderson, 185 yards on the ground. By the way, with your quarterback, Elias Duncan, coming into the game banged up. His legs were not the best shape they've been in all year. Remember, missed the second half last week of the Burgess win with, he kind of got rolled up on a touchdown run. Duncan banged up, but Anderson finally healthy. I remember a high ankle sprain from Anderson. I believe it was week 1, maybe first half of week 1. So he's been fighting it all season long. Talked to Coach Chris Taylor yesterday. He said it's as healthy as he's been. In fact, his team, Duncan aside, is as healthy as they've been. And I think we saw tonight, Andress, the big win over Chapin. Andress gets to host. Chapin has to travel to Wichita Falls. But the good news, if you're Ryan Warner, coming off a district title last year in 5A, you got all these kids running around, and a lot of them are all coming back. And they're going to be a year older, a year tougher, and, by the way, the year after that, and for some like Davion Singleton, even the year after that. Right. So, we're not going to cry too many tears for Chapin. An 0-4 start, they looked dead in the water, and once district rolled around, they bounced back in a big way. 3rd place in that district, they can be proud of, and even going to Wichita Falls Rider in a week, and no matter what happens there, a good season for the Chapin Huskies as they continue into the playoffs.
Very much so. Andress improves to 5-5 overall, 4-1 in district, while Chapin falls to 4-6, 3-2 in district. Okay, let's head out to Brandon Cone. We got a final from Lowenberg Stadium. Let's head out. Canutillo looked like had no problem with the El Paso High Tigers today. Let's go to the Iceman, Brandon Cone. Brandon.
Yeah, not quite a final yet. 3:14 left in the game. 49-0. Canutillo over El Paso High. 7:18 mark of the fourth. Canutillo just relentless as their running back Dante Aguilar scoring on the 1-yard TD PAT was good. Some stats real quick here. LJ Martin, unbelievable night. 17 carries, 223 yards, 4 total touchdowns, 3 rushing, 1 receiving touchdown. Also, their quarterback, Jeremiah Knox, 9 of 13, 139 yards, 3 TDs. Remember, so Paulo Duro, they defeat Plainview 35-32. They will travel here next Thursday, 6 p.m., and Canutillo will host Paulo Duro, rather. Also, spoke with the El Paso High assistant coach. He says they will either play Abilene Cooper or Abilene Wiley. They're still waiting to hear what happens. They will travel, though, for sure. 2:25 left in the game. Canutillo 49-0 over El Paso High.
And, Brandon, you can tell them for me that Abilene Wiley took down Cooper 20-10 tonight. Abilene Wiley, that's the face they're going to be seeing a week from now. El Paso High, that is.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, there you go. We'll get a final from Brandon Cone in just a little bit. But once again, 49-0. Canutillo over El Paso High in the fourth quarter. Just a few minutes left to go in that one. It's a final down at Austin's Ari McKee Stadium. Let's head out to Bill Kuhn, who was all Austin in the second half in this one. Bill, what's the wrap-up you got for us?
Austin wins this game 28 to Urban 7. Jaden Wilson ends the game up with 22 carries for 238 yards. But Mark Science was not far behind. He had 12 carries, 123 yards. They are waiting for the winner of Andress and Big Springs, so they could go to Sul Ross and play either one of Andress or Big Springs on Friday night. I talked with Coach Eric after the game. He's ready. He thinks his team's ready, and he's decently healthy on that side of the ball, so he's excited to move on to playoffs. Irvin, they have big plans ahead of them. They go to Ratliff Stadium to play Brownwood. They only suited up 27 guys. 2 of them came off the field injured. They have a lot of work to make up on trying to even compete against Brownwood next week. Coach Joe knows that, and he said, it's an uphill battle for them, and they're going to try to do the best game plan they have with the small numbers that they have. And unfortunately, the 2 injuries were on the line that they play both sides of the ball. So it's final here at Andress Stadium. It's Austin 28, Irvin 7.
And Bill, before you go, Austin the 2 seed in District 1-4A. Andrews beats Big Spring tonight. They grab the 3 seed. It's going to be Austin and Andrews. If you could repeat Friday night, where was the guesstimation?
The guesstimation will be at Sul Ross.
Oh, yeah. I sent that to you earlier in the afternoon. Yeah, how could I forget?
Yeah. I don't know, Paul. You don't send it to me, man.
There we go. I'm also the one that said Mountain View needed to win by 8 to get into the playoffs. So, Bill Kuhn, good job tonight. Good info. Good talking to you. See you at the Draft House.
Okay.
Great job, Bill Kuhn. 28-7, Austin over Irvin tonight. Both teams head to the playoffs. Austin will face Andrews at Sul Ross on Friday, while Irvin will face Brownwood at Ratliff.
Jackson Stadium, Sul Ross. I learned that today, so anything I learn, it's like a bucket. I just got all this stuff, and I'm just trying to spill it all out before the night's out. Jackson Stadium at Sul Ross.
Bill, great job. We'll see you at the Union Draft House on Sunland Park. Hey, let's head out to Adrian Broadus at Coronado's T-Bird Stadium. They're still playing between Montwood and Coronado, or are they? Let's get an update from Adrian Broadus. Adrian.
Great game out here. 2:52 left in this one. Coronado leads Montwood 41-28. The Rams cut the deficit to a 1-score game after quarterback Isaac Galvan hit his 3rd touchdown pass of the night, a 23-yard strike to Caleb Alvarez. And then Coronado's senior running back, Cade Little, took a 79-yard rush for another touchdown. The 2-point conversion was good. However, Montwood's already on the on the move right now. They're all the way down to the Coronado 3-yard line. And quarterback Isaac Galvan trots out with his team first and goal situation, again with 2:52 to go. Coronado leads Montwood 41-28.
And Bo, as I texted Adrian a little bit ago, if a great game breaks out in the middle of the forest, did it actually happen? Good job, Coronado. Again, another young team. Adrian chronicled that for us. How many young guys they got out on the field getting meaningful snaps that are going to come back next year for first-year head coach Mike Pry. So congrats on that. But as far as the playoffs go this season, doesn't mean a thing to either of these ball clubs. They're going home after tonight.
Absolutely. There you go. 41-28, though. Coronado leads it going into Mike Pry's second year. Could be a little momentum into the offseason. Hey, we should have a final from Jerry Alvarez over at the SAC. Americus all over Socorro tonight. Let's get a final wrap-up from Jerry over at the SAC. Jerry.
Yes, it is a final here at the SAC. Americas 56, Socorro 0. It is no surprise. Americas did control this entire game, both sides of the ball. They did just run the ball the entire second half. Their 2 biggest plays was a 64-yard TD run by Brian Promise. And on their last scoring drive, it was an 8-play drive. Every single play, they gave it to their fullback, Jesuo Ontiveros, who capped it off with a 5-yard TD run. Mark Moore ended the night with went for 19 for 25 for 284 yards, 5 TDs, 4 carries for 22 yards. His partner in crime was Anthony Miranda, with 12 receptions for 223 yards, 2 TDs, and an interception on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, Americas ended the game with 478 yards total offense. Their defense did have 3 turnovers on the game, 2 interceptions, and 1 fumble recovery. There's not much to say on the Socorro side of things. It's just been the struggle all season long, and this is the end of the road for both teams as Americas ends the season 5-5 and Socorro ends their season 0-10. Once again, that's a final here at the SAC. Americas 56, Socorro 0.
All right, Jerry, great job. Thank you so much. Jerry, we'll see you over the Union Draft House on Sunland Park. Americas finishes the season 5-3 in district, but just outside the playoff spot. All right, let's head out to Canutillo's Lowenberg Stadium. We have a final from Brandon Cone. Canutillo hosting El Paso. Brandon.
Yes, it is a final as Canutillo victorious 49-0 over El Paso High. For Canutillo, they finished their season 8-2, 5-0 in District 158 Division II. They will indeed host Palo Duro next Thursday at 6 p.m. here at Lowenberg Stadium. Quarterback Jeremiah Knox, 9 of 13, 139 yards, 3 touchdowns. Running back L.J. Martin, Stanford commit, 17 carries, 223 yards, 4 total TDs, 3 rushing, 1 receiving. Running back Dante Aguilar had that late touchdown. Wide receiver Anthony Ayala, 2 receptions, 49 yards, 1 touchdown. Also, wide receiver Kyle Ramirez, 2 receptions, 44 yards, and a touchdown as well. For the El Paso High Tigers, they finished their season at 5-5, 2-3 in 158 Division II. They will face Wiley, who beat Cooper tonight. They will travel for that game. For El Paso High, really not much. I mean, their quarterback, Jerry Chidas, did go 4 of 19, 23 yards. And also their running back, Luzane Johnson, had 6 carries, 18 yards. And other than that, Caleb Dominguez, 3 receptions for 29 yards. A dominant victory for the Canutillo Eagles. They're victorious tonight, 49-0 over El Paso High.
All right, Brandon, great job tonight. Big win for the Canutillo Eagles as they're prepping for the playoffs. Heading to the playoffs, hosting Palo Duro next Thursday night, while El Paso High travels to play Abilene Wiley.
And Bo, another score from out in the forest. Montwood's Isaiah Claudio, 3-yard touchdown run, Adrian Broadus tells us. 2:46 left to play in the contest. Coronado leads Montwood 41-35. And Adrian Broadus, by the way, just to make sure, in case we want to get a little taste, lets me know that Montwood has all 3 of their timeouts, which means they don't have to onside kick. They can kick it deep and try and get a stop.
We'll head out to Adrian Broadus in just a little bit. First, let's get a final wrap-up from Steve Escajeda at our 915 Tours Game of the Week. Eastwood hosting Eastlake, but not much of a game. It was all Eastwood in this one. Steve, take it away.
That's right, guys. Not much of a game at all as the Eastwood Troopers knocked off the Eastlake Falcons by the score of 42-0. This game was over in the first quarter as Eastwood went up 21-0 and never looked back from there. For Eastlake, not much to report as far as the offense is concerned. Quarterback Luke Romeli, 4 out of 13 through the air for 19 yards, a couple of interceptions. On the ground, they were led by Julius Acosta, 14 carries, 63 yards, and that's about it. A total of 103 total yards for Eastlake on the evening. For the Eastwood Troopers, they were led by their quarterback, Evan Mijares, 12 out of 21 through the air, 213 yards, 4 big touchdown passes, 1 pick. His favorite receiver, Curtis Murillo, like always, 6 catches, 131 yards, 3 touchdowns. And oh, by the way, Gilbert Fernandez also caught one from 43 yards out. On the defensive side, I'll tell you, the defensive end, Robert Legarda, like we said all night long, 3 sacks. He also tackled the quarterback for a safety, and he also blocked the punt for good measure, again, to give Eastwood, to help them towards that huge victory tonight. Because of that win, in the Valle District, Eastwood will be at home next week. They improved to 8-2. They will host San Angelo Central on Friday night. Coach Julio Lopez says the only thing they're not sure of is the time of the game. It could either be 5, 6, or 7. They're going to have to negotiate that. He's trying for 7. We'll have to see what happens there. As far as Eastlake, they finished their year at 6-4. They're going to be traveling to Friendship. Coach Rodriguez told me that they're going to find out the day and the time probably this evening. I'll be calling him shortly and try to get to you that information before we go off the air. So it's the final here on the east side of El Paso. Eastwood, all over Eastlake, by the tune of 42-0.
Thank you, Steve. Great job. Thank you so much. We'll see you over the Union Draft House, Sunland Park. What a game for the Eastwood Troopers, as he just said, hosting San Angelo Central. That's going to be a barn burner.
And it's not like we haven't seen Central before. Remember, it was either week 1 or week 2. It was one of those narrow losses for the Montwood Rams, 52-49, I believe that one was the final. And it led to a string of close losses. Of course, Montwood did slip in the one 43-42 win, I think it was, maybe 42-41 over Franklin. But a series of close losses, and that's where it all started for Montwood. And I think those guys just eventually hit the wall trying to get one last little bit of dignity out of the Coronado game tonight, down a little less than a touchdown with a couple of minutes left. But San Angelo Central and the Montwood Rams fought it tooth and nail, albeit here, I believe that was here in El Paso at the SAC. So Montwood versus San Angelo Central. Now we're talking Eastwood against San Angelo Central. That is an extremely winnable game for the Troop, who, in case you forgot, went all the way to the round of 16 in Division II 6A a year ago. And it looks like they're priming for another run in 2022.
Very much so. So Eastwood will host San Angelo Central while Eastlake travels to Wolforth Friendship. That is going to be a very tough game for the Eastlake Falcons.
And Friendship with a big 30-21 win over San Angelo Central tonight. They moved to 8-2 on the season. And, of course, Tri-Champs along with Odessa Permian and Midland Legacy in District 2-6A. Been a terrific season for Friendship.
It's going to be very difficult for 6A teams to move on past the bi-district round. But what a game it was for the Eastwood Troopers. Let's head back out to 6A in Coronado's T-Bird Stadium. Join Adrian Broadus for an update on Coronado and Montwood. Adrian.
2:25 left in this game. It's the Coronado Thunderbirds who lead the Montwood Rams 41-35. On the previous drive, the Rams drove it all the way downfield. It was running back Isaiah Claudio punching it in from 3 yards out for the Rams. He now has 2 touchdowns on the ground today. And on the other end, they end up trying to go for the onside kick. Coronado recovers. They're already deep inside Montwood territory, down to the 29-yard line, trying to run the clock out of this one. We've had penalty flags. We've had timeouts. We've had refs questioning what's going on over here. A long game out here in West El Paso, but nonetheless, hey, I'll tell you guys this. They're playing for the future, playing for 2023. A lot of young talent across both rosters, and I'm definitely enjoying that. Hey, I'll tell you who I'm really enjoying. Diego Oaxaca, 12 catches, 210 receiving yards today, and 2 touchdowns. A monster performance from the junior. And speaking of juniors, how about Owen Levesque for Coronado? He was 10 of 20 through the air, 134 passing yards, a touchdown through the air, and then on the ground, 12 carries, 80 rushing yards, and 2 touchdowns. Been a playmaker all night for the Thunderbirds. Gotten production from guys like Thomas Murray, guys like Blake Randag, and, of course, senior Cade Little. So that's what's going on over here. Montwood trying to stop things on their end. They're basically having to call as many timeouts as they can here. And, I think they've got one more here left in this one. So 2:08 in this game. Coronado still leads Montwood 41-35, trying to close this one out.
All right, Adrian, thank you so much. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back with all of your playoff matchups. You're listening to Football Friday Night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. Welcome back to Football Friday Night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. We've got finals all over the borderland and the land of enchantment. We're going to run through scores, playoff matchups. We're going to start in 6A. Tonight, Eastwood all over Eastlake in our 915 Tours Game of the Week. 42-0 Eastwood tops Eastlake. Elsewhere in 6A, Franklin defeated El Dorado 42-24. That was last night. And Americus topped Socorro 56-0. Montwood and Coronado are still playing. This is 41-35. Coronado leads Montwood in the fourth quarter. But let's run down with Paul McKinnon the playoff matchups for 6A.
Okay, first let's look at the 2-6A scores. Part of the three-way tie for first. Midland Legacy does their part, a 62-34 win over Odessa. So they move to 4-1 in the district, 6-4 on the season. Permian does the same, 31-15. They beat Midland, moved to 4-1, 9-1 on the season. Permian, their only loss, the 33-25 game, I think it was, to Midland Lee a few weeks back. San Angelo Central falls to Friendship 30-21. So Friendship, Legacy, and Permian all finished tied for first place in District 2-6A. The two big school teams, that's going to be Friendship, number 1. Permian, by virtue of that loss we just spoke of to Midland Legacy, will be the 2 seed. That means Midland gets to host Grande Communication Stadium, and they will get the Franklin Cougars, the 2 seed from District 1-6A, Division 1. Franklin 1 beat El Dorado 42-21, I believe it was, last night to grab the 4th and final playoff spot. And they will go to Grande Communication Stadium. I believe we heard that was a Thursday. The time
6 o'clock Mountain Time. Yeah,
6 o'clock our time. 7 o'clock kick from Grande Communication Stadium. Not a surprise elsewhere. So we know Midland is hosting. We know Permian is traveling. They're going to go to Pebble Hills. That's going to be a Friday game. Last time I talked to JJ Calderon, it was possibly going to be a 2 o'clock game, but that's when they thought Eastlake might also be a part of hosting a game out at the SAC. They were talking about stacking them, so hopefully that'll move it back a little closer, maybe a 6 o'clock kick at the earliest, and we can get that one, what should be a fun game, on right here on ESPN 600. The Mojo coming to El Paso to face the first-time district champ Pebble Hills. Elsewhere, as Central lost tonight, they had a shot to grab the 1 seed, but they lose 30-21, so they become the 2 seed. We know they're traveling to Eastwood Trooper Stadium. Julio Lopez and his boys Friday night. Julio would like to have that. Coach Lopez like to have a 7 o'clock kick, but again, that is going to be negotiable. They're going to have to work that out. A lot of times the settlement is a 6:30 kick. But it'll be at 6, 6:30, or 7 o'clock. These two troopers on our air next Friday versus Friendship. Friendship finishes 8-2 on the season, 4-1 tri-champs in that district. And the only team I'm leaving out is, of course, Friendship, who part of that district title, which means they get to host. They get the 2 seed. Eastlake, licking their wounds after the beating they got from Eastwood tonight, is going to have to make that travel up to Lubbock. I don't know if you caught that one. Did we get a time and locale on Friendship and Eastlake?
Haven't gotten the time or location just yet. We're looking for that one, but when you look at 6A, we're going to get back to Adrian Broadus in just a moment over at Coronado's High School Stadium, but you look at 6A, the one stamps out Pebble Hills hosting Permian, both teams 9-1. Lot to talk about, and a lot of history there with the Permian Panthers.
Yeah, no doubt. But you're talking about a bear coming in. Oh, they're a 2 seed, but at the same time they're tri-champs, and you know what? A pretty darn tough district. Friendship, they've been up and down in recent years, but they're definitely up this year. A terrific team, and the 2 teams that Permian is tied with. Legacy was actually the one that looked like quite a disappointment. I think their season only finished up at I want to say 6-4 on the year, but boy, did they ever close the show. Friendship humbled them early on, and that's when you thought, wow, what's the matter with Legacy? They might even not make the playoffs this year, but they bounced back almost immediately with the huge, as I said, 33-27 win. No, it's more than that. But anyway, a one-score win over Permian, and that thrust them right back into this thing, and they've been golden ever since.
Absolutely. Hey, let's head back out to Coronado's Quarles Brooks Thunderbird Stadium. Join Adrian Broadus for an update on Montwood and Coronado. Adrian.
Guys, it's all but a final here. It's Coronado taking the 41-35 win against Montwood. Speaking of that Pebble Hills-Odessa game, in the middle of this one, I got a call from head coach Mark Torres out at Pebble Hills. He actually was out in West Texas watching Odessa Permian today, called me on his way back home and wanted to find out how his former assistant, Mike Fry, was doing with Coronado. So gave him the rundown, and, as a result with Coronado, they've got a lot to build on over the offseason and get excited about for years to come. They've got a lot of young talent. It's Owen Levesque leading the way, the junior quarterback. He was 10 of 20 tonight, 134 through the air. a 36-yard touchdown pass to Blake Randag, who's also going to be back next year. 4 catches for him, 75 receiving yards. And then on the ground for Levesque, 12 rushes, 80 rushing yards, and 2 touchdowns. Thomas Murray, another junior who'll be back next year, he had 12 carries today for 50 yards and also a touchdown. And then on the other end with Montwood, you had Isaac Galvan, the senior. He won't be back next year, but he was 13 to 24 for 260 passing yards and a 78-yard touchdown pass to Diego Oaxaca, who was just brilliant today, guys. 12 catches, 210 receiving yards. He's back next year, and he's going to be a threat. 2 receiving touchdowns as well. So, it's going to be interesting to see how the offseason goes for both these programs. For Coronado, under first-year head coach Mike Pry, a lot of momentum going into the offseason. They finished the year 3-7. And then on the other end with Montwood, Ariel Famaligi, head coach over there with Montwood, will have to find a way to retool his roster next year, and they finished the year 2-8. That'll be it for us here. Coronado defeats Montwood 41-35 out here in West El Paso.
All right, Adrian, great job. Thank you so much. We'll see you over at the Union Draft House on Sunland Park as we wrap up the 6A regular season. Coronado defeats Montwood 41-35. So quick rundown of playoffs in 6A. Franklin will take on Midland Legacy Thursday at Grande Communications Stadium. Pebble Hills will host Permian at the SAC, likely Friday, still to be determined. Eastwood will host St. Angelo Central, likely Friday, and East Lake travels to Warforth Friendship. Let's now talk about 5A schools. Let's start with Del Valle and Bel Air. Del Valle defeats Bel Air 66-7. Elsewhere, Isleta tops Hanks 28-10. In Del Valle will host. In Parkland tops Horizon 48-10. Parkland will host Amarillo. Is that right? As we go through the 5A playoff matchups.
Yeah, absolutely. Del Valle does win. They win the district title. Remember how disappointed they were a year ago where Chapin came out of nowhere and surprised them in the finale? Well, Del Valle, no surprises this year. All over Bel Air, albeit a wounded Bel Air Highlander team. Congrats to Bel Air. Out of nowhere goes 8-2, regardless of what schedule they played. And in the last month, without their biggest weapon, the running back Zach Martinez, a guy who would, you could book 160 yards and a couple or a few touchdowns a game for him. That's what they were missing tonight, hosting Del Valle. So Del Valle moves to 9-1. As I said, they take the district title. Parkland slots in right behind, second seed, 4-1, 7-3. Of course, in the 5As, the 2 top seeds host. The bottom 2 playoff teams, which would be Bel Air, 8-2, 3-2 in the district, third place, and Isleta, which beat Hanks tonight. 28-10 to grab the 4th and final playoff spot. 2-3, 3-7. So Del Valle as the 1, they're going to host Abilene High. We know, and we've known for a while, that was going to be a Thursday night game. Again, with all of these, I don't think they've nailed down any kick times as of yet. Bo, you may correct me on that. We've had some stuff reported, but busy with other things. Some of it I got, some of it I did not. But we know for sure Del Valle is going to host Abilene next Thursday night at Conquest Stadium. Parkland, I talked to Lee McWhorter. He said Parkland wants to host on a Friday, and that's what they're going to do. Amarillo High is going to be coming to them. That's going to be a heck of a contest. District 2 5A really loaded this year, and R1 5A is going to have their hands full. Thank goodness for Parkland. They are going to be home. They're going to be hosting, and they're going to need every bit of that home cooking as Amarillo High comes in, a team that's been hot over the last month to squeeze into the playoffs. Bel Air falls to third seed with the loss tonight. That means they're traveling to Lubbock Cooper, a team that was among the Final Four. They were a Final Four team in the 5A Division II a year ago. Lubbock Cooper used to going deep into the playoffs. And they think they're going to use Bel Air as a roadkill. We'll see how Eric Scoggin and his Highlanders do on that trip up to Lubbock. And the only team we're leaving out, of course, is Isleta. Wins to get into the playoffs. And what do the Indians get for their conquest tonight? They get to go to the monster, Amarillo Tascosa. 6-0 on the season in the district, undefeated. 9-1 overall. Their only loss, 13-12 to Odessa Permian. Tascosa, some kind of tough, and you could probably book them into the round of 8 this year as well. A couple of toughies in the region. They're among 3 teams that really are the favorites in Region 1 of the 5A Division 1 playoffs. And that's what the 1-5A Division 1 matchup looks like next week, Bo Bagley.
And there you go. All right, let's go to 5A Division 2. Andress tops Chapin 35-28. Canutillo all over El Paso High 49-0. And Burgess topping Jefferson 35-3. So when you're looking at the playoffs, Canutillo looking like the strong team, the district champ that they are, and they get to host Palo Duro.
Yeah, correct. By virtue of Palo Duro's win over Plainview tonight, but Canutillo, I think they've done it as good as you can. A team that went to the round of 16 last year, and they come into this year with a lot of the same guys back, especially your best player, LJ Martin. They did lose their quarterback, Renatos. They've replaced him with Jeremiah Knox. But, giving guys rest throughout the season. Early on, it was the receiver, Adieta. LJ Martin, any kind of time he got dinged up, missed basically 2 games, played a couple of snaps in one, and they sat him down and missed the next game as well. So 2 games down. I think they've babied these guys appropriately because they want to be at their best when it matters most, and when it matters most starts with next week, and that's when Palo Duro comes to Canutillo. That's going to be a Thursday night, 6 o'clock kickoff here in El Paso on the Smurf turf at Lowenberg Stadium. Andress with a big win tonight over Chapin. They get the rights to host as the 2 seed. Excuse me, and they will take on Abilene Cooper, which fell tonight to Abilene Wiley. So Cooper's coming in to Andress. I think we called that one a Thursday night kick as well, Bo. Do you have that one?
Oh, which one? I'm taking scores.
Yeah, sorry to speak while you're working over there. Andress and Abilene Cooper. Cooper's coming to Andress.
Andress, per Jeremy Caranco, Andress would like to host on Thursday. So that'll be either a 6 or a 7 kickoff. Andress will host Abilene Cooper. Meanwhile, Chapin travels to Wichita Falls Rider. That will take place on Friday.
Yikes, and that's going to be tough. But again, when we talk about Chapin, and we heard tonight from Jeremy Caranco, a young team, it's part of a growing process. Every step they take is going to be make them that much better for a year from now. And going to Wichita Falls Rider, if you're not a tough team now, that's a big step toward getting there. And, of course, the final team, the El Paso High Tigers, their first playoffs since 2013. Congrats to them. They got their skill guys, Jerry Chidas and Lorenz Johnson back on the field and productive, and they're going to need every bit of that production as they go up to Abilene Wiley, 5-0 in the district, 7-3 on the season. They will have their hands full.
Absolutely. All right, let's head down to 4A Riverside, a big 63-6 victory over Bowie tonight. Austin defeats Irvin 28-7. Elsewhere in 4A, we're just going to go through all these scores real quick. Monahans tops Clint 58-14. Mountain View shocks Pecos 30-24. Mountain View headed to the playoffs. Fort Stockton all over Fabens 44-7. So looking at these now, these games, Riverside looking like they're going to host Big Spring.
Correct. The winner of the Andrews Big Spring contest was going to wind up with Riverside, and Andrews gets the win 40-20. So Big Spring with the loss moves to the 4 seed. That means they're going to face Riverside. The 1 seed, Andrews grabs the 3rd seed in 2-4A, which means they're going to hook up with number 2 Austin. Austin with their big win tonight to move to 3-1. 5-5 on the season. And remember, the 4As all go neutral, so we've heard some of the locations. Austin's going to wind up at Sol Ross, so that's where Austin Jackson Stadium, I said. Austin and Andrews are going to wind up there. Bowie, the 3 seed, they're going to wind up with Lubbock Estacado, 1-9, 3-1, 6-4 on the season. And the only team we're leaving out, Irvin, which grabbed a playoff spot with a win a week ago over San Eli. They fall tonight, 1-3, 2-8. And for their trouble, wow, you want to talk about getting some monsters.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Getting Brownwood. And you look at the only 2 losses for that team. One was against Stephenville, 42-21. Stephenville's a team that beat Abilene Wiley and Wichita Falls Rider, who we just talked about as monsters in the 5A Division II. These guys are in 4A, and that's who Irvin's going to go take a look at next week. It's going to be some kind of tough for a team that really has a chance to get out of the region.
Very much so. Some other scores around the region. Ozona tops Anthony. That's a final 32-9. Up in the Land of Enchantment, Alamogordo falls to 6th seed Rio Rancho. So that means Rio Rancho will travel to the Field of Dreams and face 3rd seed Centennial next week. Down in 5A, Mayfield tops Santa Teresa 21-10. So Mayfield will now host 3rd seed Piedra Vista. Going to be a fun one. Hey, let's talk about some outstanding standing players. That'll be after the break. You're listening to Football Friday Night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. Welcome back to Football Friday Night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. As we wrap things up on the final week of the regular season for high school football, remember to visit 600ESPNElPaso.com for recaps, photos by Prep One, and final scores for Football Friday Night. Make sure to subscribe to the Football Friday Night On Demand for the replay of each show. Football Friday Night On Demand is available wherever you get your podcasts. And as we talk about wrapping in senior players of the game, Paul, who do you have? It's sponsored by the Greater El Paso Football Showcase.
Well, you know, Jaden Wilson from the Austin-Irving game jumps to mind, ran for, I think, 230-plus yards. 214 is the last thing on 20 carries that I wrote down, but a bit of a mismatch. I always like to go to the big contests, the close contests, and I don't think there was a bigger game tonight than Anderson Chapin playing for that second-place spot in District 1-5A Division II and a chance to host. And the Andress Eagles came out on top in that one, 35-28. And the biggest reason, Malcolm Anderson, 185 yards on the ground. By the way, with a dinged-up quarterback, Elias Duncan, that's the other guy you rely on. Duncan not 100%. Game-time decision, they weren't even sure he was going to play. And in that situation, Anderson steps up big time. 185 yards, the 3 touchdowns. Also caught a screen pass for a score. And because of his production in Anderson's biggest game of the season, Malcolm Anderson is our senior player of the night.
Absolutely. Senior football players must have their SAT, ACT results submitted by December 1st to be eligible for the Greater El Paso Football Showcase Combine and the game. Go to 915showcase.com in the social media to see the weekly top 5 performers, scores, and stats of teams and players and more. That's 915showcase.com. Okay, now for our top athlete, sponsored by Taco Avocat. Who do you got for our top athlete?
And for that, we go to another big game. At least it was a huge game coming in. Eastwood and Eastlake for the right to host. And for Eastwood, you talk about stuff on the line, a chance to be district champs in 6A for the second time in 3 years. And oh, by the way, beating Eastlake for the first time since 2018. And with all that on the line, the guy who came through is the guy who's been coming through all season long. The receiver, Curtis Murillo, 6 catches, 131 yards, 3 touchdowns. And I said coming through all season long, the game I reflect back to is the Americas game. Eastwood gets that one 20-18. What are the deciding points? A 76-yard punt return from Curtis Murillo. Trailblazers help out late with a missed field goal. But that, I think, the biggest win of their season. Murillo makes the play. Oh, by the way, had a kickoff return for a score last week. And I believe there's a pick 6 in there as well. So even when Murillo's not getting so many passes, Eastwood's been running the heck out of it for now the last 3 weeks. He finds a way not just to make plays, but the plays, the deciding plays. Well, tonight he got the ball 6 times, 131 yards, into the end zone 3 times as Eastwood claims the huge 42-0 win over Eastlake, get the district title, get the rights to host. Here comes San Angelo next Friday, 6 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock. Pick your kickoff time. And chiefly because of Murillo's contributions on the night and on the season.
Per head coach Julio Lopez, this is the 6th Golden Ball, the 6th championship they've won in the last 8 years at Eastwood High School. I guarantee you they want another one. They can't wait to host next Friday night, host the San Angelo Central Panthers.
Yeah, by district. By the way, the Sidekick Award, the Robin to the Batman Awards, got to go to Ray Lagarda. 3 quarterback sacks tonight. I saw him about a month ago. Yeah, he looks terrific to me. And it's the 3rd time in, I think, 4 games that he's had a 3-sack game. So he's on a heck of a run. Who's the sack leader in the city? I haven't looked at any stats, but I got 100 on this guy.
Well, our top athlete brought to you by Taco Avocat. Need a new spot to try? Experience Taco Avocat for feel-good fast food. Family packs available for the big game. Dine in at 2114 North Zaragoza or order online at tacoavocat.com. So lastly, as we wrap things up, the final week of the regular season, quick 6A matchups. Eastlake will take on Wolfworth Friendship. Eastwood hosts San Angelo Central. Pebble Hills will host the Permian Panthers, and Franklin will travel to Midland Legacy. In 5A, Del Valle hosts Abilene. Bel Air will travel to Lubbock Cooper. Andress will host Abilene Cooper, while Chapin will travel to Wichita Falls Ryder. El Paso High will travel to Abilene Wiley. Canutillo will host Amarillo Palo Duro. Isleta travels to Amarillo Tascosa. The Bowie Bears will take on Lubbock Estacado on the road, while Riverside will take on Big Spring. Irvin takes on Brownwood, that's at Ratliff Stadium, while Austin will take on Andrews at Sol Ross. And lastly, Mountain View will take on Seminole as Mountain View defeats Pecos tonight to earn a spot in the playoffs. Well, thank you for tuning in to the final week of the regular season. Our playoff edition is next week. We'll be right here on Friday night, 7 o'clock. You're listening to Football Friday Night right here on 600 ESPN El Paso.